Call the November 7th, 2023 board meeting to order. Ms. Dance, all board members are present. We will begin tonight with the invocation from Michelle Anton and the Pledge of Allegiance by Ronald Johnson.
Lord, we come before you tonight asking for your guidance and wisdom in all decisions that we make, that you would provide protection over the students in our schools, that you would give grace to everybody who works at our schools, and that we would see your hand move over these students in these schools to glorify you and bring these students to the knowledge we provide and give to them through our teachers, your kingdom. And all these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. You place the flag, press your hand over your heart, join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we enter into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318, 11, A1, 3, 5, and 6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C 321, to consider matters relating to the initial employment of an individual employee, and to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Second.
That is my motion. I have a second from Mr. Wooten. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are now in closed session.
We're standing here today in North Johnston's cafeteria expansion that was provided by the 2018 bond project. This is a place that we can host multiple events, not just for the cafeteria. It's able to double the seating capacity for North Johnston and their students. It has got some great new features. We were able to, in the old part of the cafeteria, put new floors and lights.
When I came in on Monday, I was really shocked. There was new color and design added to the walls. It just looked really beautiful. I feel like the new expansion and the murals, they really give us more room to all come together and fellowship and just have a good time. We can pick where we sit.
They express the school spirit by, it just really explains, how the students are here, and what this coach is about here.
When we asked for design, we wanted something fierce that really exemplified the qualities of a Panther. We are able to get roughly 200 students in each of our 4 lunches, and the space that we have is amazing. We only had half the space about last year, and it seemed like a little tiny area, and people kept asking me, is that the cafeteria? Now this looks like a cafeteria. And I think our kids appreciate it, and I think it's going to be a great place for things like class reunions, and even teachers have asked me if they can bring their classes in here, and I think that's a great idea. So we're going to definitely use the space in ways that work for us as a school, and we're really grateful to the community for making this happen.
I think being named Principal of the Year did change my mindset and inspired me to be even better this year. I definitely was thankful that people recognize the wonderful things we have going on at West Clayton, and that people feel like I'm able to have a positive impact on them in some way. But it does definitely make me think about, okay, I've got to uphold that, and I've got to keep that going, and I've got to level up and continue to provide that support to the students and to the staff and to the community that they're used to receiving. And so it's inspired me just to continue to get better as an educator and as a professional. Our mission is nurture, engage, and achieve. And we say it every morning on the announcements. And so they know that we have to nurture each other, we have to engage in our learning, and then we can all achieve together. My mom had taught at SSS, and I got to see the impact that she had and the people that she got to interact with. I got to know some of her students. At times they were my babysitters, and then they became our friends, mine and my sister's friends. And just seeing that, she had a positive impact on their lives is something that I wanted to do as well. With math, it didn't come easy. And so when I had those moments where I was able to figure it out and could feel that success, I wanted to be a part of helping students feel that too. And so that's what led me into math education. Just being more intentional in everything, being more intentional with data, being more intentional with our words with students, and with thinking through things. I think it's really important that we think about the purpose behind certain behaviors, certain things that students say, behind what we do as educators, because we do hold a lot of weight, and so we have to make sure that we're being responsible with that. We have an amazing staff. We have amazing students. Our community is so supportive, and so I know when I come here that I'm coming here to serve them, and that they're going to appreciate it, and that they're going to try to serve back. And so I would say that the people are the best thing about being principal at West Clayton.
May today be the beginning for a future generation, current and future generation of students at SSS, for this to be a place of learning, of enjoyment and fellowship that will enhance your lives for the years to come, just as this facility behind me has enhanced my life.
This is indeed a day for celebration, a day that marks a significant step forward for our school and our community. It's a moment of great pride, and I'm honored to stand before you to mark this milestone. The construction of this auxiliary gym has been a long-cherished dream for our school. Our current gym is great, but what an addition. Its construction is a testament to our district's commitment to providing the best possible facilities for our students and our athletes.
First of all, this wouldn't have happened without the great partnership that the Johnston County Commissioners have with the Johnston County Public School System. And that's right, we're partners in this as we move forward, always been partners. We're not done yet, and we're going to move forward and continue to build schools until every single child is out of a mobile classroom.
I want to thank everybody for making this day possible. And folks, this is a special, special place. It's a beautiful school with wonderful students and children in it, and you can feel the history. I can feel the history when I walk down these halls. Anybody that's around me for a little while knows I like to talk about academics and the importance of academic success. But I'm smart enough to know that well-rounded children perform well academically. And absolutely athletics helps to make a well-rounded student.
With this gymnasium, we have laid a strong foundation for the future. I can't wait to see all the amazing achievements that will take place within these walls.
Works is such an awesome event for our 8th graders. As a former high school CTE teacher and now middle school principal, to be able to expose our 8th graders to an event like this and to possible careers that they may be interested in the future before they're looking at what classes they want to take in high school, it's so important.
It's imperative that we work with these students, we get them in, we train these students, and get them that career field in the future. And just the feel of everybody coming together for a wonderful event. Something that no one else is doing across the state, no other community college is doing. JCC is on the cutting edge of doing that.
8th grade is a pivotal year for students to begin exploring their careers. They are getting ready to enter high school, where they will select classes based on what they think they want to be when they grow up, and they really don't know. So this event is designed to give them experiences to help them think about, all the opportunities right here in Johnston County, what that educational pathway is, and what income potential might be.
We want to bring our young people up in this county and showcase what this county has to offer them once they move on with their educational path. I absolutely love the event personally. I tell everybody that comes to volunteer, you're gonna love it. You're gonna be exhausted when you get home, and you'll wanna come back and do it again the next day. And we do. We're thrilled to be a part of it every year.
It really did open my eyes on how many career paths I could choose to do, and that there isn't just a couple at the back of my head. I found out that I wanted to be in the medical field by the CTE program.
JOCA Works is a career expo for Johnston County Public School students, mostly for 8th graders who are about to enter high school and needing to make some decisions about what courses they take and what CTE career pathways, other electives, and core courses they want to take in high school. Our mission in career and technical education is that every Johnston County Public School student graduates with a plan for what they want to do after high school and the knowledge, skills, and aptitudes to make that a reality. This event plays a significant role in helping to achieve that mission.
We're standing here today in North Johnston's cafeteria expansion that was provided by the 2018 bond project. This is a place that we can host multiple events, not just for the cafeteria. It's able to double the seating capacity for North Johnston and their students. It has got some great new features. We were able to, in the old part of the cafeteria, put new floors and lights.
When I came in on Monday, I was really shocked. There was new color and design added to the walls. It just looked really beautiful. I feel like the new expansion and the murals, they really give us more room to all come together and fellowship and just have a good time. We can pick where we sit.
They express the school spirit by, it just really explains, how the students are here, and what this coach is about here.
When we asked for design, we wanted something fierce that really exemplified the qualities of a Panther. We are able to get roughly 200 students in each of our 4 lunches, and the space that we have is amazing. We only had half the space about last year, and it seemed like a little tiny area, and people kept asking me, is that the cafeteria? Now this looks like a cafeteria. And I think our kids appreciate it, and I think it's going to be a great place for things like class reunions, and even teachers have asked me if they can bring their classes in here, and I think that's a great idea. So we're going to definitely use the space in ways that work for us as a school, and we're really grateful to the community for making this happen.
I think being named Principal of the Year did change my mindset and inspired me to be even better this year. I definitely was thankful that people recognize the wonderful things we have going on at West Clayton, and that people feel like I'm able to have a positive impact on them in some way. But it does definitely make me think about, okay, I've got to uphold that, and I've got to keep that going, and I've got to level up and continue to provide that support to the students and to the staff and to the community that they're used to receiving. And so it's inspired me just to continue to get better as an educator and as a professional. Our mission is nurture, engage, and achieve. And we say it every morning on the announcements. And so they know that we have to nurture each other, we have to engage in our learning, and then we can all achieve together. My mom had taught at SSS, and I got to see the impact that she had and the people that she got to interact with. I got to know some of her students. At times they were my babysitters, and then they became our friends, mine and my sister's friends. And just seeing that, she had a positive impact on their lives is something that I wanted to do as well. With math, it didn't come easy. And so when I had those moments where I was able to figure it out and could feel that success, I wanted to be a part of helping students feel that too. And so that's what led me into math education. Just being more intentional in everything, being more intentional with data, being more intentional with our words with students and with thinking through things. I think it's really important that we think about the purpose behind certain behaviors, certain things that students say, behind what we do as educators, because we do hold a lot of weight. And so we have to make sure that we're being responsible with that. We have an amazing staff. We have amazing students. Our community is so supportive, and so I know when I come here that I'm coming here to serve them, and that they're going to appreciate it, and that they're going to try to serve back. And so I would say that the people are the best thing about being principal at West Clayton.
may be the beginning for a future generation, current and future generation of students at Triple S, for this to be a place of learning, of enjoyment and fellowship that will enhance your lives for the years to come, just as this facility behind me has enhanced my life.
This is indeed a day for celebration, a day that marks a significant step forward for our school and our community. It's a moment of great pride, and I'm honored to stand before you to mark this milestone. The construction of this auxiliary gym has been a long cherished dream for our school. Our current gym is great, but what an addition. Its construction is a testament to our district's commitment to providing the best possible facilities for our students and our athletes.
First of all, this wouldn't have happened without the great partnership that the Johnston County Commissioners have with the Johnston County Public School System. And that's right, we're partners in this as we move forward, always been partners. We're not done yet, and we're going to move forward and continue to build schools until every single child is out of a mobile classroom.
I want to thank everybody for making this day possible. And folks, this is a special, special place. It's a beautiful school with wonderful students and children in it, and you can feel the history. I can feel the history when I walk down these halls. Anybody that's around me for a little while knows I like to talk about academics and the importance of academic success. But I'm smart enough to know that well-rounded children perform well academically. And absolutely athletics helps to make a well-rounded student.
With this gymnasium, we have laid a strong foundation for the future. I can't wait to see all the amazing achievements that will take place within these walls.
Works is such an awesome event for our 8th graders. As a former high school CTE teacher and now middle school principal, to be able to expose our 8th graders to an event like this and to possible careers that they may be interested in the future before they're looking at what classes they want to take in high school, it's so important.
It's imperative that we work with these students, we get them in, we train these students, and get them that career field in the future. And just the feel of everybody coming together for a wonderful event. Something that no one else is doing across the state, no other community college is doing. JCC is on the cutting edge of doing that.
8th grade is a pivotal year for students to begin exploring their careers. They are getting ready to enter high school, where they will select classes based on what they think they want to be when they grow up, and they really don't know. So this event is designed to give them experiences to help them think about, all the opportunities right here in Johnston County, what that educational pathway is, and what income potential might be.
We want to bring our young people up in this county and showcase what this county has to offer them once they move on with their educational path. I absolutely love the event personally. I tell everybody that comes to volunteer, you're gonna love it. You're gonna be exhausted when you get home, and you'll wanna come back and do it again the next day. And we do. We're thrilled to be a part of it every year.
It really did open my eyes on how many career paths I could choose to do, and that there isn't just a couple at the back of my head. I really did. I found out that I wanted to be in the medical field by the CTE program.
JOCA Works is a career expo for Johnston County Public School students, mostly for 8th graders who are about to enter high school and needing to make some decisions about what courses they take and what CTE career pathways, other electives, and core courses they want to take in high school. Our mission in career and technical education is that every Johnston County Public School student graduates with a plan for what they want to do after high school and the knowledge, skills, and aptitudes to make that a reality. This event plays a significant role in helping to achieve that mission.
We're standing here today in North Johnston's cafeteria expansion that was provided by the 2018 bond project. This is a place that we can host multiple events, not just for the cafeteria. It's able to double the seating capacity for North Johnston and their students. It has got some great new features. We were able to, in the old part of the cafeteria, put new floors and lights.
When I came in on Monday, I was really shocked. There was new color and design added to the walls. It just looked really beautiful. I feel like the new expansion and the murals, they really give us more room to all come together and fellowship and just have a good time. We can pick where we sit.
They express the school spirit by, it just really explains, how the students are here, and what this coach is about here.
When we asked for design, we wanted something fierce that really exemplified the qualities of a Panther. We are able to get roughly 200 students in each of our 4 lunches, and the space that we have is amazing. We only had half the space about last year, and it seemed like a little tiny area, and people kept asking me, is that the cafeteria? Now this looks like a cafeteria. And I think our kids appreciate it, and I think it's going to be a great place for things like class reunions, and even teachers have asked me if they can bring their classes in here, and I think that's a great idea. So we're going to definitely use the space in ways that work for us as a school, and we're really grateful to the community for making this happen.
I think being named Principal of the Year did change my mindset and inspired me to be even better this year. I definitely was thankful that people recognize the wonderful things we have going on at West Clayton, and that people feel like I'm able to have a positive impact on them in some way. But it does definitely make me think about, okay, I've got to uphold that, and I've got to keep that going, and I've got to level up and continue to provide that support to the students and to the staff and to the community that they're used to receiving. And so it's inspired me just to continue to get better as an educator and as a professional. Our mission is nurture, engage, and achieve. And we say it every morning on the announcements. And so they know that we have to nurture each other, we have to engage in our learning, and then we can all achieve together. My mom had taught at SSS, and I got to see the impact that she had and the people that she got to interact with. I got to know some of her students. At times they were my babysitters, and then they became our friends, mine and my sister's friends. And just seeing that, she had a positive impact on their lives is something that I wanted to do as well. With math, it didn't come easy. And so when I had those moments where I was able
We want to welcome all of you here tonight for our regular November meeting. It's great to have you here, citizens, the parents, the students, and we're looking forward to recognizing you immediately. We have already started our board meeting, have had our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. So this time I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Richard Carr for our special recognitions.
Good evening, Dr. Bracy, Madam Chair Andrews, Vice Chair Tippett, members of the board, and to the general public that are watching us live stream, and for everyone here with us today. At this time, we're going to acknowledge and recognize some of our outstanding students. But before we do, parents, if you're here today with your students, feel free, as we bring them up, feel free to gather around the dais behind the board members to take pictures. This boardroom is your boardroom, and we want you to make sure that you celebrate your children along with us. All right. So at this time, if our character ed students will come forward. And parents, again, you could come and line up back here, take pictures while we present them. All right.
Parents, if you're here, come right back here. Come stand right back here behind us.
All right. All right. Each month, we take this time to acknowledge and recognize some of our students who exemplify great character, and it's pretty much the highlight, or one of the highlights of our board meetings. Without further ado, first we have Miss Hannah Tolentino, an 11th grade student at West Johnston High, where Jennifer Swartz is principal. I think Ms. Tolentino is not present today. I think she had a last-minute change, but we're still going to recognize her. Hannah is a West Johnston High School junior who consistently respects her peers and the school staff. She was generously serving our community as Miss West Johnston. She goes above and beyond what is required of her. Recently, she coordinated a school supply drive for the teachers and staff at our school. Currently, she is developing Teen Talk Tuesdays in the Media Center to help students improve their self-confidence and well-being. In academic and social settings, she always makes sure that everyone is included and is a truly genuine person. She is involved in many West Johnston High School activities, including athletics, fine arts, and our Wildcats news broadcast. Whenever someone mentions her names, you're sure to hear a positive response concerning her. Congratulations. Next, we're going to have Mr. Janias Lunsford. If you would raise your hand, sir. All right. Next is Janias Lunsford, and a 12th grade student at Clayton High, where Melissa Hubbard is principal. Janias has been recognized for self-discipline. Janias has been an integral part of the Comment family. He has been active in our student government as a representative and is president of the Comment Ambassadors. This program helps to integrate new students into the world of high school with activities that include all students. He was also a state representative at the DECA convention last year, heading up the screening and nomination process to be used for the entire state. Janias helped with the development of a debate club that started his junior year. Being the events coordinator for the student government has proven successful during our homecoming week. Also, he is currently interning at a law firm in our area. He's a busy man. Mom said, Janias, as anyone can see, is an exemplary student and a young man who has a bright future ahead. Congratulations, Mr. Lunsford. Next is Allie Smith, who is an 8th grade student at Clayton Middle School, where Sandra Morris is principal. Allie, if you would raise your hand. There she is. Allie is being recognized for integrity. Allie Grace, as she's known best, is an exceptional student who embodies the meaning of integrity. As an 8th grade student, you can always trust Allie Grace to do the right thing every time. She is a self-starter and very motivated to do her very best. Allie Grace is respected by her friends and teachers because she always tells the truth and she encourages others to always do the same. She does not try to be someone she's not. She has a personality that lights up whatever room she walks in. She is tenacious and consistent in completing her in-class assignments and homeworks. She seeks to understand more about subjects and topics she is interested in and believes in hard work. As a well-rounded student, she is involved with various clubs and sports. She volunteers her times for school events and in her community. She is involved because she truly believes in being a well-rounded student. Her teachers have said that the following statements about her. Each day, Allie Grace comes into class ready to work and has never been a problem. She is always kind and focused. Can't tell if she's having a bad day because she always does what she's supposed to do. Here's another comment. Allie Grace is very diligent and honest when it comes to doing work. She is helpful to her classmates. And thirdly, Allie Grace is super respectful, has great mannerisms, and is a wonderful person to be around. She's a joy to have in our class. Allie Grace is a role model for all students. We are proud to nominate her because we know she always represents Clayton Middle School well. Congratulations, Allie Grace. All right. Next, we have Aaliyah Hemans, who is a 5th grade student at Cooper Academy, where Jamie Stoke is principal. Aaliyah is being recognized also for responsibility. If you would raise your hand, Miss Aaliyah. All right. Aaliyah is an enthusiastic learner who challenges herself and her peers to perform in the classroom at their highest academic level. She works extremely hard to grow as a student while engaging in her assignments each day. Aaliyah leads by example by consistently coming to class prepared, completing all of her assignments, staying on task, and serving as a mentor to students who are struggling with classwork. Aaliyah said that her ultimate goal is to become a lawyer. Cooper Academy is fortunate to have students like Aaliyah who demonstrate 100% effort to grow as a student and as a person. Congratulations to Aaliyah for consistently demonstrating responsibility in and outside of the classroom. Cooper Academy looks forward to hearing about her accomplishments in the future, as nothing will hold her back from achieving her goals. Congratulations, Aaliyah. Next is Melanie Trunos, who is a 5th grade student at East Clayton Elementary, where Lauren Sabo is principal. If you would raise your hand, Miss Melanie. Yeah. Melanie is being recognized for respect. Melanie embodies the trait of respect in her interactions with peers and teachers. She consistently displays a genuine willingness to listen to others, value diverse perspectives, and treat everyone with kindness and consideration. In the classroom, Melanie actively engages in discussions that promote an inclusive environment where every voice is heard and respected. This student takes time to understand the viewpoints of her classmates, even if they differ from her own, and responds with empathy and open-mindedness, fostering an environment of intellectual and emotional respect. She also excels in her academic pursuits, which is another testament to her respect for the educational process. Her commitment to learning and achieving high standards in coursework reflects a deep respect for the opportunity and resources provided by our school. Melanie's commitment to respect goes beyond mere politeness. It is a fundamental part of her character. Congratulations, ma'am. We've got 2 more. Next, we have Jose Pernia, who is a 5th grade student at West Clayton Elementary, where our 2022-23 Principal of the Year, Paige Barnes, is principal. Jose is being recognized for perseverance. Jose is a great example of perseverance, integrity, responsibility, self-discipline, and compassion. He always shows respect to his teachers and classmates. He is a student who stops and helps others and steps up to participate in group discussions. Jose is a well-rounded student who has a love for learning. He will take ownership if he ever makes a mistake and is proud of himself when he masters his skills. He takes pride in his work and relationships, and his love for learning is contagious. Jose loves being at West Clayton Elementary and says the best thing about our school is that all of his teachers are excellent. He wants to be a soccer player when he grows up, but if that does not work out, he thinks he would like to be a banker because he loves math. And I assume he loves money. Right. Jose, if you would raise your hand, I forgot to acknowledge you at the beginning. Next up is the big guy on campus, Mr. Channing Adams. If you would raise your hand, buddy. Yes, sir. Lastly, we have Channing Adams, who is a first grade student at Wilson Mills Elementary, where Miss Dondi Holland is principal. Channing is being recognized for perseverance. Perseverance can be defined as the ability to overcome obstacles and challenges and keep on going despite the difficulties. It is an important life skill that leads to overall success socially, academically, and in the work environment. Channing has worked hard, and although faced some challenges, he took the risk and overcame the obstacles. In addition, Channing demonstrates great relationship skills. He is the kind of child who includes others regardless of their capabilities, language skills, and appearance. With his joyful and charismatic smile, he is always open to new friendships and welcomes anyone in his group. Channing is always cheerful and helpful to his classmates and teachers, while being a superb role model to his peers. Channing makes a lasting impression with everyone he meets. He is a kind of boy whose heart is filled with compassion, love, and respect. Congratulations, Channing, and congratulations to all of our Character Ed students this month. You're more than welcome to walk around the dais to shake the board member's hand. You can slide this way too. All right. Next, we'd like to recognize our November PLCs of the month. And this month, we have one of our groups that are with us, and so we'll call them up now. The group that's coming forward is the third grade group at Selma Elementary School. The first group we're going to acknowledge and recognize this month is the third grade Selma Elementary School group. Third grade is led by Ms. Tart, who is in her second year as PLC leader of the team. This group of leaders works together in a cohesive unit to provide the best instruction possible for its students. During PLC and grade level meetings, each member is focused on how to not only understand the content better, but to differentiate it in a way to meet all of the needs of each student. They are continually adjusting plans to promote rigor in the classroom while increasing the expectations for the students and themselves. Ms. Tart and Mr. Delgado took the initiative to create a plan for grade level resource binders and student data tracking. When presented to the team, each member supported the notion and moved forward determined to help students set and achieve goals. To carry out this task, the team held additional PLC meetings to ensure its success. In summary, third grade PLC meetings are intentional, rigorous, and mindful in order to support their students and one another. Next, we're going to celebrate and recognize the 7th grade ELA team at Four Oaks Middle School. Y'all can stay standing with me if y'all don't mind. All right. Miss Everett, Miss Gamsey, and Miss Honeycutt go above and beyond with planning and intentional student data analysis. They plan before their dedicated PLC time and are ready to discuss strategies and interventions based on data. Their genuine concern for student growth and performance drives their classroom performance and student interactions. They have created and shared an annotation strategy school-wide that all of their PLCs are working to implement in their classrooms in an effort to bolster reading comprehension. These teachers exemplify what a model PLC should be by going beyond for students each and every day. Lastly, we're going to recognize the biology team at Clayton High School. The biology PLC at Clayton High School is composed of a group of passionate educators who embody a set of admirable attributes. They exhibit positivity, energy, innovation, dedication, and coachability, which enables them to create an environment of growth and development for both themselves and their students. The members of this group are enthusiastic about understanding their data. and they consistently work to enhance their teaching methodologies to ensure that their students can comprehend complex biological concepts. The PLC has made a concerted effort to pursue professional growth and foster student learning. They actively seek out resources, collaborate, and plan together, which has resulted in noteworthy success for their students. Congratulations to all 3 of our PLCs of the month, and we celebrate you today. You're more than welcome to shake the board members' hands.
Dr. Bracy, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and other board members, it is with great excitement that I stand here before you tonight to present our Employees of the Month. I'd like to begin with last month's Employee of the Month for our certified employee, Miss Katie McAnally from West Johnston High School. She'll come up here. Ms. Swartz, her principal, is here with her this evening. So Ms. McAnally is our head counselor, working tirelessly daily for our students and staff. As the head counselor, she has taken that leadership role and she ran with it. Not only does she counsel the students, but she also helps the teachers and the staff as well. She always smiles and knows what to say to help with any situation. Ms. McAnally has an open door policy and drops everything to help students at any time of the day. Being a counselor, she has to wear a lot of different hats. It is not just scheduling and career counseling. She shows the students that she cares and she listens to them. She ensures students know that she cares for them and that she wants what is in their best interest. She is involved in different areas of the school. She has chaperoned various field trips for different clubs, classes, and departments. She even goes to band classes and plays the clarinet with our band students. She is not a counselor who stays behind an office door. She is visible and a part of the school. She helps the school run and function by helping promote the importance of caring for one's mental health. I have gone to Ms. McAnally with many problems or issues, and she has dropped everything to help me. She came from Pitt and Wake County, and Johnston County is blessed to have Ms. McAnally as an employee. Congratulations, Katie McAnally, October Employee of the Month for our certified staff. Next, we have Lori Kallenbach as our Classified Employee of the Month for November. Ms. Kallenbach is here today with Lauren Sabo, her principal. The first impression is always a lasting one. Luckily, at East Clayton Elementary, Miss Lori Kallenbach is the first face you see, and she always makes the best first impression. She handles almost everything and does it with a smile. She manages school safety, transportation issues, copies, and laminating, sickness, daily announcements, backup data manager, and sometimes even the staff therapist. She does all of this with a smile. When Miss Kallenbach is away from work, the school runs less efficiently. She knows all the students by name and is invested in building relationships with their families. She ensures teachers and staff are appreciated and plans events to keep morale at the forefront. Her attention to detail is noticed, and we are thankful that at East Clayton, the extra attention that she shows to our visitors always makes a lasting impression. Congratulations to Lori Kallenbach, Classified Employee of the Month for November 2023. At this time, we have Lucia Camastri from Clayton Middle School, and she is here today with her principal, Sandra Morris. So, Lucia, not only is she our Certified Employee of the Month, I want to make sure all of you are aware that she is from Argentina, and she is one of our international teachers through Participate Learning. So Ms. Camastri goes above and beyond to provide services to our multilingual learners. She has a heart that shines through when it comes to serving all the school's needs. Ms. Camastri hit the ground running by welcoming all incoming multilingual students and making them feel comfortable amidst a new school year with new peers, teachers, and classrooms. She takes her time to ensure they meet their needs and goes above and beyond to help ensure they're prepared for success. She has also picked up co-coaching the boys' soccer team alongside her husband, Coach Ignacio. She is such a shining star for showing excellence beyond expectations. Ms. Camastri is 100% invested in the success of our ESL population. She is always kind and patient and constantly advocates for other teachers in communicating with students and their families. Ms. Camastri is hardworking and detailed. Ms. Camastri cares about her students, and she knows what her students are capable of doing. We congratulate Ms. Lucia Camastri, Certified Employee of the Month for November.
Thank you, board members, for receiving our Character Ed students and our employees. On the screen now are just a few upcoming events, just to remind you of a few things that we have coming down the line. The first one is our Veterans Day event, which we'll host this Friday, beginning at 11 a.m. at Triple S High School. If you cannot join us, we do ask that you help us honor our veterans via live stream by watching the program. Thirdly, we just wanted to make mention that Thanksgiving break will be observed November 22nd through the 24th. Thank you all.
Thank you so much to all of you who make the special recognition possible. Thank you. Yeah, I got that. We will move now to the approval of minutes. We'll handle each one of these individually. I'll ask for a motion to approve the October 5th, 2023 special session. That's when the low-performing schools came and presented. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donovan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wooten. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Next is the October 10th, 2023 regular session minutes. I entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Carroll. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Johnston. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. 7-0. Again, the October 10th, 2023 closed session minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Wooten, a second by Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. 7-0. October 23rd, 2023 special session board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wooten. Initial motion was by Mr. Donovan, correct? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll move now to the adjustments to the agenda. Do I have any adjustments?
Madam
Madam Chair, I'd like to move policy, on the first read is policy 7445, duty to drive a school bus. I'd like to move that out for board discussion as it relates to, under policy committee report, as it relates to policy 2410B and passage. It's a emergency at this time.
Okay, so moving policy 7445 out of consent agenda and moving it under the policy committee report. Any others?
It'll be 7,300 staff responsibilities. It was not loading, so I couldn't get it to load on the
Which one did you say?
policy. I was going to pull 740 or 7445, but you've done that one, and 7,300, I believe, is staff responsibilities. It kept saying Google Doc failed, Google Doc failed.
Okay.
That's under second read.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That policy has, I'm looking at it now, it has a legal reference and one statement added to the policy. I can read that statement.
If you'd be so kind.
Well, I'm gonna go to that when we go over the policy in the committee.
So we're moving 7330. That's what you're asking. We're moving 7330 also under policy committee report, which we'll do here in just a few minutes. Any others?
Can we move policy 3540? It's the comprehensive health education one. Can we discuss that as well?
I'm just trying to make sure where it is. Okay, 3540, is that what you're asking? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so anything else? So I will entertain a motion to move 7445, these are policies, policy 7330 and policy 3540 under policy committee report.
Madam Chair, just one correction. It's policy 7300, not 7330. Is that what you meant, Mr. Johnson? 7300?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mistake.
Bye.
I'll entertain a motion to move policy 7445, 7300, and 3540 to, under the policy committee report.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Anton. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. 7-0. Okay. All right, we'll move to our updates from the board committees. Finance Committee.
We did have a good meeting last week, but I'll give my time to Mr. Britt when he comes up. He's going to speak today about his finance department as well as facility proposals and budget proposals.
Okay. Legal Committee, Mr. Carroll?
No report.
All right, Policy Committee, Mr. Tippett.
Okay, there are two policies on the first read. One for policy 8325, daily deposits. The only change in there was to change the amount of money from $250 to $1,500. The schools are able to keep. I think it was an effort to help the folks not have to go back and forth to the bank so much. That was the only change in that policy as a first read. The other first read, as I stated, was 7445, the duty to drive a school bus. The terminology that was changed in there was that you continue to drive a bus unless authorized by the superintendent. And we did that, policy committee did that with input from Mr. For Marlon and Dr. Pierce as well in there. Our transportation is I guess we're almost there to look at suspending the policy or whatever. However, you guys know that I think we always talk about how we can't get classified people because they drive buses, and now we have a tiered salary for driving the bus, 1826 driver, 1826 sub, 1626 TA. So what we're going to try and what we want to see if it makes any effect, it's kind of like a pilot, looking at it as a pilot thing now, and that's why I'm asking asking the board to pass it tonight so we can go ahead and start that and see if it does make a difference on hiring TAs. We're not at the point where we can suspend the policy yet based on the input that we have from our transportation folks. However, we're at the point where we can look at, as these principals are meeting with potential classified staff, and going over the salary schedules with them, if it makes any difference, if that continues to be a factor, is a factor. And that's the purpose of passing that. Mr. Donovan, Ms. Andrews, if I'm missing something, let me know. But that was the gist of what we were looking at in the policy committee, and the reason for asking to pass that tonight, so that we can go ahead and allow the principals to start interviewing those folks and see exactly where we are.
So my question to you is, in the policy, it says the superintendent has the right to suspend that. And to your point, I just looked at that and thought it more as a principal decision, because they're the ones controlling and kind of understand their school better. So it sounds like the principal would then forward those on to the superintendent, and he would make the final. Okay.
This is an action item that we're trying to put into effect. I'll entertain a motion to accept policy 7445, duty to drive a school bus.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Donovan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wooten. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a vote. All those in favor of accepting policy 7445 as written, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. 7-0, thanks. Okay.
Madam Chair, just to clarify, that's going into effect immediately as if it was a second read? Yes. Okay.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna move down the list here, and then we'll get to the ones that Ms. Antoine and Mr. Johnston made reference to. First, school trips, again, we just basic changes, minor changes in there. Is the JCPS is not gonna sponsor trips outside the U.S. that have to be with a private company, whatever. And also we added level 3 volunteers to that policy, since that is level 3 volunteers is a new policy. 1310, parent involvement, and again, these policies have parts of the Parent Bill of Rights in there. And if y'all remember, we've said before that a lot of the things that were in the Parents' Bill of Rights are already in policies in Johnston County Public Schools. So you're going to note some changes, just additions of a few things is what I'm going to mention here. One of the things in policy 1310 is to develop a plan for the school's parental involvement and to publish that school on the school's website. Again, that is to meet the expectation. There's a list of things. The student health is listed, was added on there was a list of 29 bullets. There was one bullet added. A lot of those bullets met the needs of the Parents' Bill of Rights. Number 17 was added for student health, for immunizations, diseases, and sharing of those information as it's required in the Parent Bill of Rights. Excuse me. And there's also a section on withholding consent, opt-out of notifications, and most of those were unchanged. Again, there's very little changes in this policy. Now the biggest change, again, is it talks about supplementary materials and curriculum materials. Supplementary materials in K-5 that speak to gender identification, sexual activity, and so forth. Those supplementary materials will now be available in K-5. The curriculum part says 4. The reason it says K-4 is because grade 5 has some of those things in them in the curriculum. So K-5 simply addresses your media center is supplementary area. Does somebody have a question about that? 1310.
That's the parent involvement.
Parent involvement,
correct?
Yeah.
Is that so? It says that we're going to have that readily available, like seeing the clubs and things like that on our website. That's correct, right? Okay. I guess my question was that our website is not performing very well for parents to be able to find information on it. I don't know if we have changed over our website, our web host, and everything about it has changed. And I just have some concern that people aren't going to be able to navigate that website to actually find these things that we're putting into policy. So I don't know what we need to do to get the website acting and performing better.
And I think I believe that those go on the school websites. Each individual school website is going to have their plan on there. But I hear what you're saying. But that would be on each individual school. And
I mean, you can go to the Johnston County website, go immediately to the Board of Education, and go to board policies, and every one of them are there.
you mean the
I think
actual
she
plan
means
on the website?
the clubs and
Oh, the
everything
clubs.
inside the
I'm
school.
sorry, I thought you meant the policies.
No, she's talking about the individual things at the school, so that it's
So that would be on the school's website.
it's user friendly at the schools. Richard, can we take a look at that?
Sorry, I thought you were talking about.
Is that good? Okay. Because I mean, obviously, we want to. These are meeting expectations. We want to make sure that the parents can see those and make sure they're user friendly on each school's website. You got that? All right, man. I think the policy 3210, the only thing on there, it's had a request in writing to the principal. Again, it's the parent objection to instructional materials, which we already have a policy for, again, which is in the Parent Bill of Rights. Our policy covers that, and the only thing that's included in that is that is the procedure to go through a request in writing to the principal. So that covers And again, 3540, comprehensive health education program. Again, it has what I just mentioned earlier, the same terminology, same paragraph as in 1310, to address the K4 curriculum and then K5 supplementary materials. It's just, that paragraph is just in both. It fits both places. Excuse me. 4335, criminal behavior. Again, students charged with are convicted of criminal behavior, and it speaks, it clears up some things on reporting criminal behavior, allows school employees to report assault by students to law enforcement with no repercussions. So the school employee has the ability to report that rather than going through the administration to report that. That was a clarification on there, I guess, if you will.
They're still required to notify their administrator, is correct, right?
It just clarified that it didn't have to go through the administrator. The actual employee can do that. And then the principal is immediately reported to, obviously, the superintendent, who immediately reports it to the Board of Education. It just kind of clarifies the chain of command there, so if you will, and the procedure for that. 4720, again, that's surveys. And again, I will say this, I anticipate some amendments in this policy as we go forward and get everything in line. But I want to put the policy, I'm asking to put the policy in place. If you remember last board meeting, we had some surveys come in for approval by the board. We want to continue, we want to go ahead and get that in place, so we're doing that. And if anything else has to be looked at, the one thing that will bring your attention to in there, K3 parents notify prior to any well-being or health screening forms administered and given copy to give consent. So again, that's part of the Parent Bill of Rights that's included in there. So what we do with this policy, right now we're saying the board approves questionnaire surveys. I think we all know that the magnitude of that could get way big on us, and so we want to look at that, and as well as how we're doing surveys and platforms and whatever. We'll look at all that later, but at this point in time, looking at that policy. Yeah.
They would be evaluated annually, biannually. How would they be evaluated?
The district-wide surveys. Oh, you mean policy? The policy will be reviewed whenever a board member says, "Hey, how about this?" And I anticipate that's going to come as we delve more into Parents' Bill of Rights and the surveys and things that are dealing with that in terms of the health is the health and health services and immunization was a focal point, it seems, on the Parent Bill of Rights that we may not have had as much in there to cover as some other areas. So again, that may be incorporated in this area as we move forward.
We pulled 3540 out, and you went over it. Yeah. Can we go back to that for just a second and then move on it if we need to?
Yeah.
Did you have a comment?
I just have a question about it. So when I pulled it up to look at it, in the first set of red, in there, it says, the curriculum does not include responses to student-initiated questions about gender identity, sexual activity, or sexuality. I was a little confused about that, sandwiched in between the other two sentences, because the other two sentences make it pretty clear that you're not supposed to be discussing those things in the classroom. You're not supposed to have curriculum or stuff relating to that. And then that's in there, so it almost says to me, if I'm reading it right, and maybe I'm just not interpreting the language correctly, that if a student initiates that conversation, then the teacher has free reign to discuss that with a kindergarten class or a first grade, second, third grade class. Maybe the attorney can help us.
Glad to. This is definitely going to be a point of judgment, and the question that's asked by the student is really the only response that the teacher can give in the setting. So it's explicitly in the statute that way, and how it gets navigated is going to be challenging.
So that language is in the statute?
Yes.
That we put it in there that way?
Yeah.
Do you see that as confusing or not? Or am I just reading it
I
wrong?
will be training the principals next week, and I will try to clarify it to the best of my ability.
Can you clarify it for me, what it exactly means then, or it's supposed to mean?
Well, in lawyer terms, it depends on what the question is, and if there is a question that's questionable for the principals, I would instruct the staff to actually say, thank you for that question, and I will be able to give you a response after I check with your parents or the principal. That would be my recommendation until we get further clarity about the law.
So the language is actually built to refrain from discussing those matters, even on a student-initiated question, is that right?
It's to help answer questions that students need clarification on, but with parental intervention.
Okay, thank you.
And knowledge.
Yeah, and I think to your point, I think we made the statement before, a lot of our policies go beyond what the general statute says, and this is actually a perfect example of that, because you're correct, because you before and after is pretty plain, and then the statement in the middle is actually what they say. You have what, and if we can't reword what they said do, but we can put the stuff on both sides, our expectations on both sides of that statement. If that makes sense.
It does, thank you.
We will vote on this policy, or I'll entertain a motion to accept policy 3540.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Anton. Do I have a second? I didn't hear. Second by Mr. Johnston. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of policy 3540 as written, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. 7-0.
And is that the only, that's what I'm saying, 7300 was the last one pulled out, right? We'll vote on 7300. Okay. In 7300 staff responsibilities, the statement that was added was support parents in effectively participating in their child's education, never encourage or coerce the child to withhold information from a parent with a legal reference. And if you watch the news, you've seen that statement in board meetings at every county, actually word for word statement. And that comes directly from the bill. And that's the only statement that was added to that staff responsibilities. That's fine, but that's the statement that was, that's the only statement that was added to that policy with the legal reference to this bill.
I'll entertain a motion to accept policy 7300.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Donovan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain the vote. All those in favor of policy 7300 as written, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. 7-0. Okay, Mr. Carroll, Bond Committee.
The Bond Committee is hopefully going to receive from ORED updated census information, and as soon as we can get that, then we will be able to move forward with our bond.
Legislative Committee.
I have no report. We haven't met. We have undertaken the job of making maps, and the chair has initiated that process and moved that forward. So in lieu of having any sort of additional committee meetings for legislative committee right now, we're working on maps.
Okay. We had a legislative breakfast.
I
Did
think
we report
we
on
spoke
that?
about that
Yeah,
at the last
last time,
meeting.
okay. All right, under chair updates, just a few updates. First of all, I don't know if any of you were able to go out Thursday and Friday in Johnston Community College and attend JOCO Works, but oh my goodness, what a wonderful event. We had 3,500, or about 35, anywhere between 3,000 and 3,500 eighth graders out there. Kudos to transportation for getting them all there over a 2-day period, over 40 vendors. And this was an opportunity for our young people to see potential career opportunities for them. The event was sponsored by Nova Nordis, but you had a big presence there from Grifols, Caterpillar, and all types of other businesses in Johnston County. But thank you to our students. Thank you to the teachers who were there. They did a fabulous job of moving the kids around those areas. Thank you to, as I said, transportation, to administrators, everybody, and the group here, our staff here, and our career and technical. Thank you so much for all your work. It was just a fabulous time to be out. It was a beautiful day, but it was also there for planting the seeds for our young people to come back and work in Johnston County. We did celebrate Red Ribbon Week here recently, drug prevention campaigns, and many of our schools did several things with that. Mr. Carr's already mentioned Veterans Day. If you want to attend one of the best events that take place in Johnston County, be at Smithfield-Selma High School Gymnasium at 11 o'clock on Friday. We will have our special recognitions for this period on November 16th at 6 p.m. at Cleveland High School. This is where we recognize groups, where we used to do them at the board meeting, and now we've set aside a special night just for them. So that will be at Cleveland High School on the 16th. I believe it starts at 6 p.m., I believe.
Later, but we're going to reschedule that.
Oh.
Sure all of our students are
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
and make sure we get all.
So we will not have that on Thursday, the 16th? Okay. Okay, all right. Well, thank you for correcting that. And then you mentioned about Thanksgiving break and school being closed. Okay, that's all I have. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I failed to mention the next policy committee meeting is on the 16th at 2 o'clock.
Okay, we will move now to our advisory appointments. We have several. I will begin, and then I'll entertain a motion. Once all are read, I'll entertain a motion first and second. From Clayton Middle School, Principal Sandra Morris has asked us to approve for Advisory Council Maisha Williams for a 3-year term. Cleveland Elementary, Principal Dr. Ewell has asked us to approve for Advisory Council membership, a 3-year term of Bonnie Meduzia, I hope I didn't say that right, and Miss Anna Clockendall. So those will both be for 3-year terms. I think, Miss Anton, you have one.
I do. I have one from Riverwood Elementary School from Principal Lee White. We are asking to have the Advisory Council appointment of Shalonda Richardson for a 3-year term, Justina Barrero for a 3-year term, and Suzanne Morris for a 3-year term.
All right, and then I have from Swift Creek Middle School, Principal Dr. Evans has asked us to approve Dawn Edmondson for a 3-year term of appointment. Mr. Wooten?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Derek McNeil, principal at West Smithfield Elementary School. Him and the advisory council recommend Chastity Diggs for a 3-year term appointment.
Okay, hearing all those, I will entertain a motion of approval for those members recommended.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Wooten. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Donovan. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Thank y'all. Thank you, too, for all of these who are willing to serve. Do we have any public comment? Okay, we do not have any public comment, so we will continue on, if it's okay with y'all. Everybody good? Okay. All right, we will be moving now to the opportunity to vote on district maps for public viewing. As a result of the Senate Bill 68, Johnston County Board of Education has been charged with developing district maps for the 2024 school board election. The bill was passed by the Senate on Tuesday, October 24th, was passed by the House on Wednesday, October 25th, making it law. We have until Friday, November 17th, to have these, the final choice to the General Assembly. So obviously, we have been in a quick time span here. So tonight, what we are doing, each board member has been given copies of the 7 options. I have ballots that we will take upon us to vote on these. And what we are doing tonight is, you want to pass those that way? I'll pass these this way. What we are doing tonight is selecting 3. Oh, sorry. You got one? Every board member should have one. We are selecting 3, and then immediately, as soon as this board meeting is over, these 3 will be uploaded into a website on our website, a place on our website for the public to view. There also will be an area, a place for you to comment. It will be I think it'd be very easy for you to see the maps. Also, you can download the maps. Is that correct, Mr. Carr, if you want to? However, it would be best for you to view them. But, and then we will stop that viewing. We will close that at midnight on Sunday evening. And then the board will receive any comments. We will have they will be able to put these into a document in which will be emailed to the board so the board can see these. And then I would like to meet on Wednesday, November 15th, if possible, around 11. Check your schedules, 11 a.m. to make the final vote for the map that we choose. The reason is that a packet then will go to the Board of Elections and will also go to the General Assembly. We have to have that there by the 17th. Any questions? Board members, you have your maps, correct? Okay. And do you have a ballot? All right.
So I do have a question. Looking at the maps, one of the provisions, one of the asks from the legislators that we don't double bunk. And K. Carroll is double bunked. So. I have no problem.
Okay. You also, board members, if you will notice, and I give a little history to give these people some time to look at this. You have numbers there. Everybody have this sheet of numbers. And you can see that we started with the county commissioner's map. Unlike the county commissioners, we were charged with certain guidelines, and Ms. Anton mentioned one. The other guideline was that we could not have more than a 5% difference in residential population. These maps have been designed based on resident population. That's all. So we could not go above above or below 5%. So the commissioner's maps, given that only two districts of the commissioner's maps are even below 5%, we could not use their map. So we had that was obviously a reason we had to do something different, but we tried very, very hard to stay, within, close to that. We also, it was our desire to have, or logical, to have at least one high school in each district. The feeder programs, it's impossible to do all the feeder programs, but one high school is represented in each district. So, and you want to add anything to that? That's pretty much the background on how that happened. But I wanted the board to see, and we can certainly make this public to the public, the numbers and the percentages and how we were able to stay within that. I think every one of these options stays within the limit.
It looks like there's going to be 2 districts that encompass 2 high schools, and then possibly the new Wilson's Mill High School will be districted into another one. Well, depending on which map is chosen.
Right, yeah. Oh, that's a good point, thank you. The Wilson Mills High School is districted, is noted. I mean, we're including that high school in one of the districts because that high school, well, I'm not sure what the groundbreaking's this spring, but it's probably going to be, 2026. But we still have that involved. So we're recognizing that there will be a high school off of Bear Farm Road, off of 70, off of Bear Farm Road.
And I think Ms. Antoine's point, obviously, you have 2 extra high schools. And those were placed in, with the 2 smaller schools were placed in with the larger schools. So we didn't have 2 large high schools in the same district.
Any other questions? You're just ready to vote? If you'll notice now, you're voting for three choices. First gets 5 points, second, your order of priority. So your first priority is 5 points, your second priority is 2 points, your third priority is 1 point. Now, you can't vote for one map 3 times, okay? I know you know that, all right? And you don't have to vote for 3, but obviously each map gets 1 vote. Just saying, just saying. I know you wouldn't do that, but does anybody need any other clarification? You want to compile the votes, and Ms. Coronado will get those together for us. Did you put your name on them? Yeah, yeah, you need to make sure, I'm sorry. Did you put your name on them? This is a wonderful, we feel like this is a wonderful opportunity for our Board of Education, so we're excited. Okay, you want me to move on? I'll move on while you, okay. All right, I will call on Dr. Bracy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, at this time, I ask that the board approve consent items numbers 1 through 14.
I have a motion for consent items 1 through 14 from Mr. Carroll. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Donovan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of consent items 1 through 14, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Kackendall.
Good evening.
Welcome for your first time as presenting. We're
Thank you.
glad to have you.
Thank you very much. And good evening, Madam Chair and Vice Chair and board members and Dr. Bracy. We have several items for your action from CIA. First up, we have what was on the agenda for October, but we did pull it. You all saw it on the board review for October because we needed to add a couple of changes to the contract, which has been done. So you'll see we want to talk about contracting with the National Training Network for Math 1 support across the district for our high schools. So Math 1 data overview, I know we're no stranger to this. You all have seen this many times. And you'll see our Math 1 scores are improving. In fact, just last year, we were right in line with the state. Right? So we are performing at the state level, and those incremental increases are a good sign. But we also know there is much work to do. And in order to do that, we need to make sure to support the teachers and the staff who are teaching our children in Math 1 at the high schools. And so the best way to do that with some of our ESSER funds is to, what we feel is to hire National Training Network. They are a consulting company that is based in North Carolina. Guilford County uses them, Wake County uses them, as well as Cumberland, and they focus solely on math. And so they do lots of contract work with math support K-12. Of course, we want them for Math 1 in the high school. There are 3 goals that we want them to work on with our math, which is increase student engagement in those Math 1 classrooms, as well as deepen content understanding with our Math 1 teachers. I'm sure you all are aware, but those standards in Math 1 that have to be taught to mastery are very dense. And it is a lot of information to teach in one course. And so with the state of education being what it is, we know we have lots of vacancies, and it's hard to find highly qualified math teachers. And so that's why additionally that content understanding is really important, because we want to equip our math teachers who maybe come to us not out of a teacher preparation program to teach at the highest level for our kids. And of course, our end goal is to increase that student achievement on the EOC. So there are 6 high schools participating, and Area Assistant Superintendent Mr. Burrington created this list with us. And so Cleveland High School, Clayton High School, Princeton, Smithfield Selma High School, South Johnston High School, and West Johnston High School will all be participating in the National Training Network Math 1 support. So the deliverables that they will be offering through this coaching support is they will have a coaching model, which is one-on-one coaching. We felt like that was really important, especially for the differentiated piece, because of course, as I said, some teachers at these schools have been doing this for 25 years, and some teachers have been doing it for 5 weeks. And so we need to make sure that we are differentiating that support to meet the needs of every teacher. We want to make sure that we are including data analysis. So of course, we're looking at our benchmark data, as well as those instructional trends in the classroom that they see when they go in for coaching. So which of our effective teachers are using the most effective strategies? And then how in turn can we strengthen our PLC support? Because of course we want this to be sustainable. So it's very important that we integrate the PLC support, because that really empowers our teachers to continue planning as a group. So what we hope to do tonight is for you all to approve the purchase of these services at a cost of $161,700, and that would come from our ESSA 3 funding, PRC 181. Any questions?
Just a couple. This contract is for how long? Because I didn't see that on the.
Through June, so it will end.
Okay, and you might have said it, the modeling teaching, team teaching lessons, after they're done, our plan is to continue this on. So we're teaching our teachers, or?
Yes, so we won't continue on with NTN, likely.
Yeah.
But what we will do is we want to bring out those strategies, right, and to teach them, to show them through modeling, this is how to best implement it. And again, there will be some teachers that have the basic instructional strategies down. They've been doing this for years and they know how to do it. So we can take them to a different level and we'll support them differently than we would a teacher who's just, coming out of a separate career or a teacher prep program that may not know the basics integrated with that content. Did that make sense?
Yep.
So I read up about the company a little bit, and you're saying that they're going to send coaches down twice a month. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it looked like they had other type of product that they also give you with this type of contract. Is that correct? Like,
we are not getting a product.
Okay, just the coaching twice a month.
Correct.
And how long does the coach just stay for one day?
So they will be on site of each high school for 2 days per month. So yes, they will be, and there will be multiple coaches at, for example, Clayton High School. There'll be multiple coaches because there will be, depending on the number of teachers.
And all of their coaching is going to be during the school day. Is that correct?
In some instances, but it will be for the whole day. So like, for example, if it is a PLC, because some schools have common planning and some schools don't. And so they will work with the principal of each school to figure out when is the best time. They will stay after school because sometimes the debrief may have to take place after school. Sometimes the PLC may have to take place after school, depending on the master schedule.
I'm just wondering how it impacts our teachers and what that means to them and their contract and all their responsibilities. And
yes. And we did go through this with all the high school principals, so they are aware and they are very excited about this support.
And just out of curiosity, why did we have all the high schools except Corinth and North?
Yes, they had a plan that they ran through Mr. Brewington that he felt was very good in the support of that.
Okay, any other discussion? This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tippett. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of the National Training Math 1 support, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are shifting gears slightly, but we are going to talk a little bit more about a consulting firm that we would like to do some coaching. Specifically, this will be at our two low-performing middle schools. So Benson Middle School and Riverwood Middle School, as you all know, are low-performing schools, and Area Assistant Superintendent Mr. Bird and I have looked at what are the ways that we can support them with our ESSER money for the remainder of this school year to really intensify the support that we're able to offer them. And so we noted that Research Technical Institute offers content coaching that is not just math. We know NTN offers just math and they are specialized in that area, but we need ELA, math, and 8th grade science for middle school because those are our tested areas. And so when we talked with these principals, with Ms. Jernigan and with Ms. Sawyer, they noted an extreme need for support of their teachers through the coaching model. And so with their input, with Mr. Bird's input, we have talked with RTI and they have created a proposal for us to support those teachers. So again, the goals there are much like what you saw previously, but to build that professional capacity of those teachers in all of those content areas that are either tested EOG or EOC. We want to equip the teachers with those research-based strategies and effective engagement practices that can be immediately put into action, right? Because we know that we can't waste time there. We have to make sure that what we're doing is going to make an immediate impact at those schools. And again, the schools participating are Benson Middle and Riverwood Middle. And then the deliverables that they'll have are, of course, on-site coaching support, as we just alluded to. You'll see Benson Middle has 10 teachers that Ms. Jernigan would like to have coaching for, and Ms. Sawyer has cited 16 teachers from Riverwood Middle School. And that coaching support, you'll see the timeline is more intensive than it was for Math 1 support because, again, where we are in those schools. So we want the coaching support to occur approximately twice a week from November to December, and then scaling back to once a week from January to March, and then scaling even further back to every other week from April to June. And again, that's the gradual release model because, of course, we want it to be sustainable and impactful for next year as well. The sessions can include a combination of any of those things you see on there: small group training, PLC support, lesson planning support, co-teaching, modeling. It will be differentiated based on teacher need. The other thing that was very important to us was this last piece for them to be able to offer the check-in sessions with the principals, because we want the principals to drive this work. They know their schools really well, and they are very excited about this type of support should it be approved by you all, because they will be able to meet with them every week. So they will meet with the RTI coaching consultants every week to make sure this is what they're seeing and that what they're working on with their teachers is exactly where we want them to be. And so what we're asking is approval to purchase that coaching support services from RTI at a cost of $227,462. And of course, again, all of that will be paid through ESSER 3 PRC 181. Questions?
Well, I'll entertain a motion and then we'll do some discussion. Do I have a motion for coaching support for Riverwood Middle School and Benson Middle School? A motion by Mr. Carroll. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tippett. Now discussion.
This is just out of pure curiosity. The money that we're spending on to make sure we get the biggest bang for our buck, how are we measuring to make sure that these coaching sessions are actually improving our grades for our kids?
Yes, so we have several benchmarks in place. We are currently doing the MVP at all those schools, and so we will have a great baseline. We'll do MOY, which will, again, see what level of effectiveness we see. We also have common formative assessments at those schools as well that we'll be able. So we'll be using the student data analysis to see. We will not use this data because it is confidential data, but the principals will be able to use the NESIS data, which would be the teacher evaluation tool. So looking at those observations, are the teachers improving in their practice?
Are you going to come back and show us that improvement, or will we see the improvement?
Yes. So, and ultimately, the improvement should be in our SPG, in our school progress grade, performance grade. That's what it should be.
Thank you.
Okay. We're second week in November.
Yes.
So are we going to change the schedule? You said November to December. Now, if we're going to do it twice a week, we're going to do it for 8 weeks, starting. So we'll adjust the schedule as needed.
Yes, sir. They said depending on board approval,
start.
Yes, it would be
Because you're no way you're going to get.
correct.
I mean, because even December, we're going to miss school for
That's right.
a good portion of the time. So you're telling us that it's going to start where they're going to get 8 weeks of 2 times a week.
Yes, and then it will
you'll
taper
back
off.
down. Okay, I think that was my concern as
Oh,
well, because
uh-huh.
you're never going to get 2 times a week in November,
Oh,
December.
correct.
That
Yes,
makes
and
sense.
so that was when they had originally written the proposal.
Okay, so we do twice a week for 8 weeks.
Yes, sir.
At the end of 8 weeks, will we have an assessment to know, are we ready to go to, what is it, twice a month?
One time a week.
One time a
Mhm,
week.
One time a
All
week,
right.
yes, sir. To do the gradual release.
How do we know, how are we going to assess that the 8 weeks of twice a week has gotten us to a point where we're ready to go to once a week?
I think one of the things, we will not have an assessment scheduled. They will have taken assessments in that time period. But I think one of the most important pieces of feedback that we'll have is walkthroughs done by the principals and also principal feedback. Are they seeing that shift in classroom instruction and in student engagement? And so if they are, if they're not, it's also possible, I have talked to our RTI about this, because it's possible that some teachers may be ready, right, to go to once a week, and some teachers may need to continue that twice per week.
All right, do we have it built in the contract? Will they do that under the current contract, under the current price?
Under the current contract, no, because that's not included to the gradual release, that some are there. But
Can
they
we
have
negotiate
said,
that?
yes, but they have said that they will make this work.
Without additional cost?
It would, they say that, but it would depend on the level. So if, for example, if we say all 16 teachers at Riverwood Middle School need an additional 6 weeks of twice per week, then that would be a substantial increase.
Well, we would hope that all 16 would, but
Right,
there may be some
exactly.
that do, and it would,
Yes.
you would think that.
So it is
You
circumstantial.
know, if they think their program is that good, they would back it up and say, well.
Absolutely.
You know. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So you have this down as Research Technical Institute, and I found nobody that offered the services under that name, but was it
No,
actually Research
it
Triangle?
is Research Triangle. I'm so sorry.
Right, so,
Yes, it's-
right. So Research Triangle Institute is, again, the Durham-based
Yes, it is. It's the
international
same one that we
company.
use. Mhm.
It's the one that we're using to guide our district planning.
Yes.
It's a very woke company, for lack of a better word. It's incredibly, I just am concerned about the direction that our teachers and instructors may have. I don't know. A lot of the coaches are probably fabulous. I'm just not exactly sure where we're going with that. And are they directing them based off the curriculum that we have? There's no extras being brought in. It's just
No.
simply how to get the content to the students in a more
Correct.
meaningful way.
Yes, and I thank you for that question. They are not creating any content. So RTI is not creating any content for teachers to disseminate to students or anything of that ilk. And again, that's why I think putting in kind of that checks and balances system of having the principals be meeting with them once a week, the RTI staff, to make sure that they are coaching in the ways that we want them to, is important to the principals to have, right, that autonomy, but also to make sure, again, that the instructional strategies that we're focusing on are the ones that we want to focus on for the district, that we know that pay the dividends, but they are not going to create content to present.
And they're not driving content either. They're not
No.
going to go through and say, hey, why don't we focus on this?
Oh,
Why
no,
don't we
no.
focus on that?
So to your point, the curriculum pacing guides, the curriculum guides, and all curriculum will expect to be followed to the T. We won't deviate from that. Thank you.
I don't mean, this isn't mean to be negative statement, but don't we have curriculum coaches?
We do.
And I guess if you can just tell me, I guess what I can't wrap my head around what we're getting from this group that isn't already the job responsibilities of our curriculum coaches.
So, great question. We don't have curriculum coaches at every school at the middle school. So, for example, at Riverwood, she has what she is calling an MTSS coach. So, and that's her only auxiliary staff member. So she helps with the MTSS process, and it's not that she doesn't assist with PLCs where she can, but it is such a huge undertaking. And also with the number of new staff, it would be impossible even for one full-time curriculum coach to coach at the level that these schools would want and need in terms of intensity. Yes, that's the same. I'm sorry. It's the same. She does not have full-time. Yes. Right. Her MTSS coach, she has kind of the same model as Riverwood, but she's not doing the MTSS coaching at this time. She's actually subbing. So
Okay.
she's not able to.
So you don't have an MTSS person there either?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. And again, I don't have a problem with the extra assistance. I'm just trying to understand if we have people in positions, what are they doing? Because I think we got more positions in curriculum than those two curriculum coaches. But that's maybe that's something we can look at later. But that's.
Do you mean the specialists? Do you mean people that are CIA employees or
Right.
school-based employees?
No, CIA employees.
So, good question. So, for example, ELA, for 612, we have one person to support our middle schools and all high schools in ELA curriculum content. For math, we have one middle school person. We have a math vacancy, so we haven't been able to hire for that. And then for science, we have one person for K-8 and one person for high school.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I guess I have a little bit of concern. We have 16 teachers that are are needing on-the-job training, for lack of a better word. I mean, and in how to instruct students. Is this a broader issue than just these schools, or is it something targeted?
I don't. It is a broader issue, to your point, in terms of the number of vacancies that we see across North Carolina, right? And who is available to fill those vacancies. And so we do have lots of teachers coming with a lack of experience, with a lack of teacher preparation programs. And so their type of support would be different than what we give a veteran teacher, right? And so, and it's not that the teachers here are not working really hard or want to do the best they can. They do. These teachers, if you walk into these schools, you'll see that these teachers love their kids and they love their school communities and they want to do what's best. And so they really are hungry for this support because they want to learn and grow. And that's really, who you want to coach, because you know that we can grow them and then we can retain them because they feel supported and they feel connected to our community.
I think we have to recognize, too, schools changed after COVID.
Sure.
And we are using the ESSER 3 grant money, which is set aside to help learning loss. And these students were fifth graders, fourth graders when that happened. So I guess I don't necessarily, I guess there's a lot of things that go into working how this has worked out. And I think that, to your point, I think it is probably needed. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I think our middle school science was really, really bad.
I wouldn't say really, really
Well,
bad.
just really bad then, okay? But I mean, I guess.
Had it decreased? Yes, there was a decrease.
but can we not can what these is being presented here be shared with other middle schools?
Can you say a little bit more?
After these coaches are coming in and working with these science teachers in these schools. Can these science can this program be shared through the county to other middle schools?
In this iteration, no. In terms of can these coaches go to different middle schools?
Our staff,
right?
Our staff who receive this.
Yes, and we have thought about that, and that is a really interesting point. That we don't know. Because if you do kind of a train the trainer model, you are starting with someone who feels empowered and confident in what they're doing. And so a lot of our teachers are confident in what they're doing. I don't know that this length of time of coaching is going to enable them to feel like they can then go help others. They may, and if so, then yes, we would love for them to do that. But I don't know that they would. That's the hope.
We have. You just pointed out we have employees at CIA, and could they not come for a few hours and kind of train with this person? And they're going to be in with
They will come, not at every single session, but they will be at some of
Right,
them.
so
yes.
they can pick up the, some of the good things that we can maybe bring to the other schools, to his point, to Mr. Tippett's point, that might be
Yes, and
helpful.
we do, that's a good point. Our specialists do have, and we are working on the Rutherford training piece with them, but they can always use more tools in their toolkit, and I'm sure they would be happy to do that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, next.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Contracts again. So we have, I'm sure you all know, the need for social workers. Currently, we have 16 social worker positions to support 48 of our school campuses. And this leaves them with 3 to 4 schools to support. So that means they can be there one day a week, possibly 2. So to better support that piece of making sure to support the whole child, we want to a contract for 8 school social workers to bring that support ratio to 1 social worker per every 2 schools. We have conducted an RFP for this because we do want to use ESSER funding. And so we have actually looked at several different companies for this. And if you approve these contracts, then that cost won't exceed the $540,000. And again, that's with ESSER funding, and this is contracting with certain employment agencies to get social workers at those positions.
All right, this is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, a second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion?
Just a quick question. This time frame for this 540, will we just use them until the 540 runs out, or is this just for the school year?
It should be for the school year.
Okay.
And this is an ESSER item, so this
Yes,
isn't
ma'am.
going to be long-term funding. These are not going to be sustainable positions. Is that
Correct, which is why we're contracting them.
This
'cause they
1-year
won't be-
contract?
Mhm.
A
They're-
1-year?
Well, they're through, it will have to end by September. And so it will be through, I believe, June 30th, but I'll double check for you.
But principals need to understand that these are not going to be
Absolutely.
long-term
Right,
positions.
they
so
understand they
they're
won't
gonna
be, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
We cannot,
Yes.
we don't have the reoccurring
Absolutely.
money to do that.
Mhm.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. As Board Chair Ms. Andrews mentioned, we had JoCo Works on Thursday and Friday, and it was a wonderful event. And so we do have a couple of follow-up surveys that we'd like to give the students. And so to talk quickly about those surveys is Ms. Ferrier from our CTE department to get approval from y'all.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Bracey. Thank you, Chair Andrews, for recognizing that we had JoCo Works Thursday and Friday. I bumped into many of you, or I saw you across the crowd. I appreciate your attendance there and your support of that event. It takes a village to pull that off. And it's an extraordinary event. I think it speaks to the unique collaboration we have in this county between our industry, our workforce partners, the chambers of commerce, and our academic partner, JCC. Very, very accommodating for that event. We have 2 student surveys that we bring before you tonight to help gauge the impact of that event and to make improvements to that event. Our first in-person JoCo Works was in 2019. The class of 2024 will be the first graduating class to have experienced JoCo Works when they were in the 8th grade. And so one of the surveys is an exit survey for seniors to help gauge the impact of that event. Did it help you make wise decisions about the courses you took in high school? Did it impact your career decisions? Did it impact your further education and training? And our partners in this event are very interested in that data. And then the other survey is one that we'd like to administer to 8th graders, again, to gauge impact, to get feedback, and improve this event in years to come. Do you have any questions?
Well, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Wooten. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Tippett. Now, any discussion or questions? I'll entertain the vote. All those in favor of the JOCO Works student surveys, because there's actually 2 of them, right? Please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, likewise. All right, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And again, that was a really, really impressive event that you guys put together.
Yes, and we've had a lot of positive feedback thus far.
And please share with it, and we try to do the same, please share with these teachers how grateful we are. They had it down to a science on keeping up. They had little signs and sticks and everything else to keep up with their kids, and the kids were great.
And I want to take
They
this
behaved so
opportunity,
well.
yeah, to just publicly thank, we have a lot of departments here that pull this off. You mentioned Marlon and his team, and when he walked in tonight, he said, "You look tired," and I'm like, "Well, we just got off of JOCO Works." Mr. Carr and his team just released a new video in the last day or two for this year's JOCO Works, and lots of great pictures from that event, and they, we just have a lot of teams that work really hard on this.
We just hope we planted some seeds.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll just say, in talking to some of the teachers this year, they noticed a big difference in the engagement from the kids. The kids were really engaged. They were wanting to learn. They were wanting to see what the people were doing. It was really cool.
And I don't know if you noticed the passport cards that they were walking around
punch
with.
cards,
That
yeah.
was something that we implemented
I
this
think that's
year.
a great idea.
We learn every year we do it. We learn something, and it goes a little bit smoother. But those passport cards were meant to increase engagement, and I think it worked. And we got a lot of positive feedback from that.
Tell everyone thank you that
Thank
you
you.
see. One more item?
Yes, one more item, and let me get through. We have the, excuse me, Dr. Thomas is here to present our next item, which is the annual reform model report and continued authorization for 6 of our restart schools. So she will be presenting this item to you all.
Great evening. Let's try that again. You already know. Great evening. I'm looking for the presentation itself. The slideshow? There we go. Beautiful. Look at that. How's everyone doing this evening? All right, so all the formalities, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, all the members, Superintendent Dr. Bracy, you all look lovely tonight. This is a wonderful presentation you're about to hear. I need you to know this. All right, so let's dive right in. Annually, our schools, we have 9 restart schools, okay? But only 6 are reporting right now. 2 are actually in their first implementation year, and then 1 will begin their implementation year next year. So you're only going to hear about the progress of the 6 that have to report right now. So each year they will report on their progress directly to the State Department. And I'm here to help represent all of the 6 that are presenting on their progress. So here you'll see the flexibilities that the board has granted each of these 6 schools, and you'll see the names right across the top. And we have evidence of success, some highlights. So on this particular slide, you'll see where they were in 2022, where they are now in 2023, looking at their accountability, their growth status, and their school performance grades. So I won't dive too deep into that. Everyone has access to that. I want to get to these particular highlights. And so here, I just want to talk through a few. I won't read the whole slide to you. But Benson Elementary School used budget flexibility. And here it highlights exactly what they used that budget flexibility for. Here are some of the results of that use. Reading EOG, 3rd and 4th grade student proficiency increased by 5.4 percentage points, from 43.2% to 48.6%. For math EOG, 3rd and 4th grade student proficiency increased by 5.5 percentage points, and their overall school performance composite increased by 5.5 percentage points, from 51.6% to 57.1%. So they've had a steady climb consistently in the right direction, and this is what we want to see, right? West Smithfield Elementary School, they've used calendar flexibility, budget flexibility, employment requirement flexibility. And here are some of the nuggets from their school. 3rd grade students increased their proficiency by 0.5 percentage points. Fourth grade students increased their reading proficiency by 22.3 percentage points. That is not an error. This is not something that happens often. Fifth grade students increased their reading proficiency by 26.7 percentage points, from 22.7 to 40%. And in math, you can see similar increases. In third, fourth, and fifth grade, upwards 18.3 percentage point increases in fifth grade performance. This particular school had a hyper focus on strategies to improve reading and to improve math performance, utilizing their restart flexibilities and a host of other strategies, of course. Benson Middle School, we've heard from them this evening, right? We've heard about some support we're giving to that school. Well, let's talk about some of the highlights from that school. Dr. Jernigan used budget flexibility and employment requirement flexibility, and as a result, Benson Middle School met growth expectations and also increased their overall school performance composite by 3.7 percentage points, from 41.6% to 45.3%. Is anyone bored? Shall I continue? Let's keep doing this. Selma Middle School. Selma Middle School has come a long way. I remember when this particular school was number 10 from the bottom in the state, at risk of being taken over by the State Department. Could you believe that? 10 from the bottom. And so now here we are. They use budget flexibility. They had a focus on student engagement, right? And increasing that engagement, looking at teaching and learning, increasing student engagement, while our team came in from the district and conducted what we call an MTSS IQV. MTSS, Implementation Quality Visit. And we're just looking at different aspects of the teaching and learning process. We honed in on student engagement. In 1 year, 21-22, we noticed that students were highly engaged, 65%, and well-managed. But when we went back the following year, that number was up to 96%. It was just so good, right? Is that Principal Baker? All right, they also had a focus on their grouping methods. What we really want to avoid is teacher-dominated teaching in the classroom. You want to hear student voice. The person who's doing the most talking is doing the most learning. You want to hear from the kids, right? And so West Ed also has been supporting the school, and they've been supporting the school in leadership capacity, PLC practices, and teacher learning. Well, teachers reported that they've gained new insights into teaching and learning at a favorability rate of 100%, which was an 11 percentage point increase from the year before at 89%. Now I want to dive into our cohort 1 schools. These are the schools who were the trendsetters. They started in 2017. Now we have Cooper Academy and we have North Johnston Middle School. Cooper Academy used budget flexibility. I didn't bring Kleenex, so bear with me if I start to tear up. Cooper Academy used their budget flexibility to increase the number of staffing supporting science at the 5th grade level because they noticed they had issues in this particular area. Now, Principal Stoke is back there, and he's going to correct me if I mess any of this up. Subgroup performance in science. Students with disabilities increased by 3.4 percentage points. English language multilingual learners increased by 8.6 percentage points. Economically disadvantaged students subgroup by 36.1 percentage points from 46.9% to 83%. Black students subgroup, positive 47.9 percentage points increase. Science. This is unheard of. Subgroups exceeding EVAS, growth expectations. 2, Black students subgroup and economically disadvantaged students at the school, defying the odds at Cooper Academy. Thank you, Principal Stoke. North Johnston Middle School used the employment requirement and budget flexibility. Their science proficiency increased in 8th grade from 81.4 to 82.5. Sometimes you start getting so high, it's hard to keep moving that needle. They kept moving it in the right direction. Even if it's 1.1, we're okay. We're going in the right direction. Reading proficiency, grades 6 through 8, increased by 3.9 percentage points. Math proficiency increased in grades 6 through 8. I don't need to read the numbers to you. The subgroup performance, 100% of their subgroups exceeded growth. When the option is to not meet, to meet, or to exceed, Principal Anders decided we're going to go ahead and exceed. That's the only option for every subgroup. Now, we're looking at 2 items tonight. The report that's being submitted to the State Department on their progress, but also the second piece. 2 schools, which would be cohort 1 schools, are going through continued authorization. So after 5-6 years, we have to decide, do we want them to continue in this model? Have they made the academic gains necessary to continue in this model? And so we're looking at Cooper Academy and North Johnston Middle School. And I have to tell you, this chart right here is amazing. This chart shows you the 5-year trends for Cooper Academy, and I have one for North Johnston as well. I want to help you look at this, because this is how we really should be looking at data. We don't want to just look at 1 year. You should be looking at 5 years across time to see the trends, to see the changes. When did these leaders come in and take the helm of that school? What did it look like when they took over? Those are the things we should be looking at. So look at this. The school is not low performing. The school, where it says recurring low performing, no. Where it says growth status met, it's met. Achievement net change score. That looks at, and it says 16.8 for Cooper Academy. Here's what this means. In their baseline year, which was 2017, they were at 41.2 for their achievement score. But currently, for 2023, they're at 58. So that's your 16.8. They're just looking at the change. When we started, where are we now? How are they making those gains? If you look at the percentage of subgroups meeting or exceeding growth, 100% of them for the last 3 years at Cooper Academy. If you look at that bottom row, you'll see here student subgroup growth status exceeded straight. If you look straight across for 2023, you'll see all of the subgroups listed and their status. Next slide shows us specifically how academic gain results are calculated. Academic gain is calculated by looking at the grade level proficiency by student subgroup, grade level proficiency by subject area for testing, their career and college readiness by subject area tested, and additional indicators. So in the case of Cooper, it would be EL progress. I won't read through all of this for you. I'm going to keep going to North Johnston Middle School. Aren't you enjoying this, Dr. Bracey? This is good stuff. Oh my, we could do this all night. This is what we should be doing, right? Okay, North Johnston Middle School. Principal Anders. It says here, is the school low performing? No. Recurring low performing? No. Growth status exceeded. Achievement score net change was 10.7. So from 2017 to now, 10.7. And it says 50% of subgroups meeting or exceeding growth. Here it says 100% of them met or exceeded. All right? And so North Johnston Middle School, just by way of history, was at 55 from the bottom just a few years ago in the state with an F, 39. Okay? Now, they're not there anymore. They've moved from that F to a C. That C was a 59 last year, and now it is a 64. They continue to move in the right direction. And my understanding is that Principal Stoke and Principal Anders are pushing to get above that 70 so it can be a B, and they're still moving in the right direction, right? Let's go to the next. Oh, I want to highlight here. For year 4, implementation year, every single subgroup at North Johnston Middle School exceeded. Just in case we needed a reminder. So here, another breakdown, academic gain. I won't go into that for you, but I will share this, just in summary. I had a meeting with some of our partners at the State Department, and they shared with us that in Johnston County, our 2 schools that are in cohort 1 going for continued authorization have exceeded the standards. Okay? We're shutting everything down. They're doing an exceptional job, and they are recommending that continued authorization. So I just wanted to be sure that we do it the right way and come through our local board first. And if we can, we have 2 actions this evening. One is going to be to approve the Restart annual reports. That would be for the 6 schools, Cohort 1 and Cohort 2, and then also to approve the Cohort 1 schools to continue authorization to operate under the Restart Reform model. So 2 action items.
Okay, I will entertain a motion for approval of the Restart annual reports for 2023 for Cohort 1 and Cohort 2 Restart schools.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donovan, second by Mr. Carroll. Any further discussion?
I did have a quick question. This evidence of success, did you say that this is going to be sent off somewhere? Or did I
Yes,
misunderstand?
the progress. So the progress that they've had with their restart for this year in that report, that goes to the State Department annually.
Okay, I don't want to miss celebrating because I just noticed 17.3% to 44% for the 5th grade students. For EOG math, it says it was 18.3% difference. I think it's supposed to be like 20 or so. Okay.
I'll fix that.
No, I just happened to notice it. I just wanted to make sure that we had it on there.
This presentation is not going to the state. They're getting, their report actually highlights all of the things that I shared. I gave you that broad overview.
Okay.
They had to give a whole lot more detail. We don't have the time tonight.
And maybe it was just the math nerd in me that just picked it up.
I like it. Thank you.
So, is there anything that makes you not qualified to be Restart School anymore?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. And one answer to that is, as far as qualifying, if the school has not met academic gain and also using their flexibility outcomes, that could be one reason why they're not recommended for continuing without having to reapply. Right. So
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote of the approval of the Restart Annual Report 2023 for Cohort 1 and Cohort 2 Restart schools. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The next action item, is approval of the Cohort 1 schools to continue authorization to operate under the Restart Reform model, which includes Cooper Academy and North Johnston Middle School. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
A motion by Mr. Tippett. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Wooten. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of this approval of Cohort 1 schools to continue authorization to operate under the Restart Reform model, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Let's take a quick break, and then Mr. Moore, you'll be up, I believe. we're going to start back. I appreciate you guys in there in the room hidden away. I do appreciate you. Thank you. Okay. We're going to start back, but I would like to go back to item 10 because I do have the results of the map vote, and we need to vote on these 3 maps. From the tally that our attorney so graciously did, the 3 chosen are D1, D, and A. So D1, D, and A. So we will be, upon voting approval from the board, these will be placed on our website tonight, right, Mr. Carr? And be available to the public for comment. We will close those comments about midnight Sunday night. And then you will get those results to us as fast as you can, right, Mr. Carr? Will you do it like in a spreadsheet or? Okay. Okay. And so board members, I would just like for you to take a look at those. I'll make sure, will you email those to the board? Okay. I'll let you, just keep an eye out for that email sometime Monday, Tuesday, and then we will have our meeting at 11 on that Wednesday. Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept maps D1, D, and A as 3 maps that will go out for the public comment.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Donovan, or either one. Mr. Donovan, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain the vote for the approval of D1, D, and A as 3 maps to go out for public comment or public viewing. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now, Mr. Moore, thank you.
All right, good evening, or as Dr. Thomas puts so well, great evening. I bring our first contract adjustment for a 2022 bond project. It is for the elementary school, and what you're seeing unfold before you is the beauty of the construction management delivery method. This is approval to purchase the long lead packages for that project: elevator, chillers, equipment, and electrical switch gear. So we are requesting approval to increase Balfour Beatty's contract price by $1,088,304 to purchase these long lead items while we still design that school.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Wooten.
Second.
Second by Mr. Donovan. Any discussion?
I do have a question. It's not on this particular thing. It is a little design about roofs.
Okay.
When you and I have talked about, as you know, I'm a fan of a pitched roof, not these flat roofs, but in our design of these low slope roofs that we're currently using, do they design the pitch in the design so we don't have to step up like you sent to me when I question about the new type of roof that we're going to? Or in the design of the building, do they design the structure, the beams, so that there is a built-in slope already there, and that we would have a slope without having to build up the roof itself?
Yes. This is not your traditional flat insulation roof.
So what you're saying is, no, we'll put that concrete down, and the slope is already there, we won't have to add additional steps of insulation as we go back to one way or another. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote for the new elementary school guaranteed maximum price amendment. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Ms. Edmondson.
Good evening again. I am delighted to bring to you this evening the superintendent's recommendations for personnel. First, we have an assistant principal, Mr. Banny Bunyan, for Clayton Middle School.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donovan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay.
The next recommendations from the superintendent are for central administrators. We have Richard Carr, interim executive director of communications, Linda Edmondson, interim chief of human resources, and Cynthia Rivera, director of purchasing.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of these recommendations.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donovan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tippett. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
At this time, Ms. Katie Cornetto will come forward, and she is going to present some information that is added to the personnel report.
Part 2 of the personnel report is to consider contract extensions for Dr. Bracy, Dr. Pierce, Stephen Britt, and adjustments to compensation for all 3 of those, as well as a travel increase for Patty Whittington.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion. A motion by Mr. Carroll, a second by Mr. Donovan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, 5-2. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Edmondson. All right, Mr. Britt.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Bracy. I have 2 items for your consideration this evening.
And you have a folder. Didn't you provide us a folder with this information? Okay.
Yes. Yep. Folder for the budget amendment and the finance department plan is located on your syllabus, or however you pronounce that program. Yes. So the very first item I have for your consideration tonight is the finance department plan and facility proposal. So some of the challenges that we have within our district is that, the finance department is tasked with a lot of different roles within the district. We serve as accounts payable, we serve accounting, we do payroll, we do budgeting, we handle risk management, and we are located here at the Simpson building, or Simpson campus. And there's some challenges with that because we're really limited on space here. And so, of course, our customers that we support are the student, staff, and taxpayers, and we try to keep that in mind with everything that we do and make sure that we maximize the dollars for our customers. And so we've got some areas that we could do better with taking care of our customers. One of those would be that the schools and departments need a modern payment options. Currently, we only write checks out at both the school level and at the central office level. And so, as you know, it's getting more and more difficult for vendors to accept payment methods that are only paper-based or check-based. We've also been asked to look at providing twice-a-month payroll for all hourly classified staff and find a solution for our leased mobile unit that's back here behind the Simpson building. So looking at the first challenge is, as I mentioned, currently we can only pay by check for all of our payment options that we have, or payment plans that we have out there. We don't do ACHs like a lot of businesses do. There's some challenges with that, with using state funds, federal funds, et cetera, that you have to work around. And so one option that a lot of districts and even the state itself has moved to is utilizing a purchasing card program through Bank of America. And so that's a state contract. The state agencies also use the same contract. And it basically allows, I'm going to break out my old school wallet here. So it is a card that looks a lot like a credit card. And so this it functions very similar to that and has a little chip reader in it, functions just like a credit card. The difference is it is tied to our budget and tied to our accounts. And so whenever a payment or whenever you swipe the card, you have to have certain certain things have to already have taken place. You can't just go run out and go buy gas or go buy whatever you need with this card. There has to be processes in place to do that. And so, but this now allows our schools to book field trips, which has been a challenge for schools because a lot of places that we take our kids to with field trips don't accept paper checks anymore. And so this would enable departments to, go get something from Lowe's or Walmart when you got a repair to make, at the school level. It helps with that. One of the great things about it is that it provides a 2% rebate on there. And so we're able to actually generate revenue through using this program. So pretty conservatively, we should be looking at around an $80,000 rebate and could potentially grow it, to as much as $160,000 a year. So we could potentially even push as much as $10 million a year through this card program. I just paid a couple of weeks ago. I paid our $212,000 annual accounting bill through a card. It was very nerve-wracking to I've never made basically a credit card purchase of $212,000 before. So I made sure I had lots of documentation for that, because these cards are attached to the person. So it has my name on it, and I'm responsible for it. And just like everybody else that is running the pilot program right now, we basically sign our life away. We state that we're personally liable for the expenses that go on our cards. And so there has to, and there is a payroll deduction line listed on there as well. So, so yes, payroll deduction of $212,000 would not be. I did. Yeah, sure did. And so that is one of the solutions to the first challenge of how do we provide a better process for that. But as you can imagine, having 150 to 200 purchasing cards in a district creates a risk there. We have to manage that risk and implement controls in place for our staff. And so the request is for us to be able to hire a purchasing specialist that will work under Ms. Rivera, that was just approved, to help her with managing the entire program. So they would manage not only the purchasing card program, but they also would handle our entire purchasing for the entire district. So when Mr. Moore has construction or curriculum has curriculum purchases, this is the team that works with the attorneys to do the RFPs and get everything posted with the state and make sure that we are in compliance on that side. So the great thing is the cost of implementation would be more than covered by the rebate revenue. So we're able to add a person without having to take funds away from schools. The next challenge is twice a month payroll. And so currently one of the real challenges with hiring hourly staff is that unlike, like if you go work at Walmart or other places where you get a check every 2 weeks, we provide a monthly check. And so that check is in arrears. So you work your hours and then you get paid for that. But with us starting, with 10-month employees starting towards the end of August, they don't get a full month's paycheck until October. So about 6 weeks lapses before they get their first full-size paycheck. They get a partial paycheck in September, but they have to wait. To be able to move to the twice a month payroll, obviously we're doubling the amount of pay events that occur for that staff. And so we estimate that we would need just one more person on the payroll staff as a payroll specialist to work with the 4 specialists that we have currently. This would take us to a 5th one and to work with that team. We also have 2 supervisors that manage that. And there's the cost with that. And that would also be able to be covered by the purchasing card revenue. The final challenge we're looking at is the other 2 challenges kind of combined into our 3rd challenge as well, is that, as I just mentioned, we have a leased mobile unit that is here on the Simpson campus. We're spending about $30,000 a year for that triple wide that's out there. And we have no space for the 2 staff members that I just mentioned now. And so It's a large triple wide that's out there, but it only has 6 actual offices in there. So there's a huge open space in the middle that we've set up 2 cubicles in there, but we still have a bunch of space. There's no receptacles, there's no walls in there for staff, you know, to be able to add more people. So we would either spend, you know, a significant amount of money retrofitting a leased mobile unit to meet the needs, or we can look at another option. We've also converted closets here at the Simpson building to house our staff, and we also have our 6 payroll staff members all work in one large office, which works, but it gets kind of loud in there, as you can imagine, with all the comings and going that is involved with payroll. It's just like in a business with your payroll staff. So the solution that I'm proposing is to construct an inexpensive building out in the open area behind the Simpson offices. And so that would be in this grassy area that's directly behind the building. It's in between the mobile unit and building 2 that's out here now. It would be slab floor, stick built, nothing fancy building. And it would allow us to return the mobile unit. That costs us currently $30,000 a year. It would allow us to add the 2 staff members so that we could fully implement the P-card program or purchasing card program. The building, we don't really know the exact cost yet because we haven't gone to design, but at the most we're looking at about $600,000 of one-time capital outlay, and that we're looking at anywhere from a 10 to 20 year return on investment, depending on how well we're able to do with our P-card program, because we may be able to generate enough money from the P-card program to help with that return on investment. But worst case scenario, you're looking at a 20-year return on investment on a 50-year life building. So the bottom line is that by doing this plan, we'll be able to better meet the needs of our students. We'll have more space here at the Simpson building. We might even be able to move the servers, which is a hot topic for me because our servers are currently in a flood zone that flooded back, was it Matthew or Florence? Yeah. So we definitely need to get those servers out of that location. So this would open up some options for us as well for that. And so we're able to do this without taking funds away from the schools. In fact, we might even be able to generate funds in the long run and save money. So that is the proposal that I have before you. I feel like I'm making my pitch to the Shark Tank. So sharks, what questions do you have for me?
This is an action item. Nobody can present it like you, Mr. Britt. This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
Now, what is the action that we're asking for to approve this?
His proposal.
Before we make a motion, I'd like to just say something here.
Yes, sir.
All right, we've been talking about trying to create alternative school, move our alternative campus to a more appropriate place. And I understand what you're saying here, and I'm not against it. What I'm going to say is we need to be more aggressive. We've got staff over on 3rd Street and Rose Street. Now, would it be beneficial for those people to be all on this campus?
Funny you asked that, Kay, because we brought this up in the Finance Committee meeting. My question was, how much more will it cost to put a 2nd story on that building, move those people here, and then expand the Choice Plus?
Second story where?
On this building that they're talking about doing.
Well, what I'm saying is we ain't gonna do a stick building. We're gonna do a facility that, I think we're.
Can I call a point of order and that we do the motion so we can actually have this discussion?
Right. Let me have the motion first.
What I don't want us to do is motion and move into something that,
Well, we can have that during the discussion. We can talk about it. Okay, so I need a motion.
I'll pass it.
Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Mr. Wooten. Now.
Okay, so is Brooks Moore here? Brooks, excuse me, Mr. Moore. In our conversation, that you and I had talked about some time back about what we could do here to bring that whole group and consolidate folks on this campus. I can't remember, but we talked about a building that was, what, million and a half, million to two?
Yes. Depending on the goal, I mean.
Yeah.
Offices.
I would think the goal, based on our growth and what we're needing to do here now, am I right that it would make sense to consolidate the 3rd Street campus on this campus? Dr. Bracy?
Are you asking would it be beneficial to have everybody here?
Correct.
Yes, it would.
All right. So, I would think in terms of looking down the road, not doing a quick fix, and I understand what you're saying. We really ought to have a discussion about building, we've got the space here, correct, Brooks? We got the space here.
Spaces in land?
In land.
Okay.
And we can build, based on what we were just banging back and forth, we could build a facility that would allow us to consolidate all the services right here on this campus, still have plenty of parking for the need here, and can do it in a way that will serve this county probably for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure a $600,000 stick-built building is going to do that. So, I would encourage us to really think about this, and let's do it correctly. And if we need to talk with county commissioners about this, then that needs to happen.
Well, building the building back here, I think that's a great idea, but it also brings about other expenses that are going to be created by, there's some changes and alterations that we've done with the Glenn building as well, that to convert that back to a school-type facility, there will be some expenses for that as well, and I'm sure there's been a lot of changes to that facility for the use it is right now, and it would take quite a bit of money to convert it where we can use it as a school again.
But would that not be cheaper than building a brand-new facility for that type of thing? I mean,
It would be cheaper than building another school.
yeah,
yes.
and I'm looking at, what we have been talking about trying to accomplish in terms of actually, providing a sufficient space to have an alternative program that functions the way it should function.
So what you're saying is we need to vote on, we agree with his pay cards and what he's trying to do with the structure of the finance department, but we probably need to put off we pretty much all agree that a facility needs to be built here so they can, everybody can be here at the Board of Education side.
Yeah, I think we need to exhaust that before we do, in my opinion. Now, I'm just one board member, but I think in terms of looking down the road and us being able to provide services for the school district and to consolidate what we need on this campus so there would be smooth communications, we would be smart to, let's at least look at it, see what our costs are and the potential for accomplishing it. And that way, we could solve, hopefully, our space needs for some academic programs out there that we don't have right now we don't have a clue where we can go with an alternative campus that would, actually provide what is needed to be provided for these students at the alternative campus.
Mr. Moore, how much time do you need to come up with some type of proposal?
Honestly, some more guidance as far as what that space looks like and who is at the West Campus staff and what their needs are. I mean, there's a lot to work out.
How many people are total at West Campus right now?
A lot.
You're talking about the AG Glenn, but West Campus. You're talking about on the Rose Street side. No.
Pre-K, beginning teacher, EC, communication, student services.
And Choice Plus.
And Choice Plus upstairs.
Dr. Pierce.
But let's look at it and see what it is.
What I may ask Mr. Johnston, if you're willing, to amend your motion to, there's 3 things that he's proposed for us tonight. The first one is the punch card, the modern payment, the option of the purchase card. The second is to have a 2-time-a-month payroll for classified. And the third was the building. So I was just asking, amend it to only include the first two options.
Sure, yeah, Madam Chair, I'll amend the motion to include the punch card and the bi-monthly payment to classified
And-
staff, withdrawing that third
Right. And
item.
I have a second to that.
Second.
Second, thank you. And then, so let's vote, and then what we are doing in that discussion is sending that third option, holding off on that third option to get more clarification. It's obvious, Mr. Britt, that you need space. There's no, I don't think anybody here doubts that. But maybe we can come up with an option that is more, has a longer life to it in the sense of meeting some of the needs. With that motion and that second, any other discussion?
Can you do the first two with, we said we don't have a space. We said we don't have the space to put people. Can we do the first two options without the third option?
They were kind of a package deal, because I was going to use some folks that were going to be on leave, maternity leave and et cetera, to go ahead and hire and get in place. We can figure something out. Yeah.
Can we figure somewhere else?
We could figure something out. I mean, there's open floor space there in the mobile unit that we have. There's just not data drops and power, and desks and those sorts of things. We didn't want to buy, we didn't want to start modifying and buying this if we were just going to quickly get rid of the building. But we
Right.
can make do.
Okay.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, and I would hate to see us spend to do this when the potential of solving a lot of problems and, obviously fallback is gonna be doing the stick build.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just have a question as to where the funds would come for this new building and where we're gonna classify it. It's a capital expense. So how would that work?
Yes, the plan that was proposed today is within the capital budget that you'll see in about 5 minutes. But then that we can just hold on that and then just reevaluate. Because we won't have the funds to start on a larger scale project this year. So we would have to, as Ms. Carroll mentioned, we'd have to go back to county commissioners and discuss.
Is it capital funds that came from local funding from the commissioners? It's not part of the bond money? Is that correct?
No, those are two separate. So, yeah.
Right, so it was from the local.
Correct.
Right.
You-
And
yeah.
do we have any room in that bond? Is there any room in that bond money to put towards a building out there?
I don't think without bumping something else. Yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty, capital's pretty tight, as you'll see here in just a couple minutes. Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, with none, I'll ask for a vote of the approval of the first two options that Mr. Britt, as Mr. Johnson had amended his motion. For the first two options, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you. The second part is we have a budget finally here in November. As you know, the state released its budget in October. It takes a little bit of time for that to trickle to us. So, that budget has to go to DPI. DPI has to analyze it and understand what's in it and then make allotments for us. And before you today is our outlook for this current budget year, for the 2023-24 year. So hitting some of the highlights that we have in this budget, there is a lot of components to it. We're able to accomplish a lot of things this year that we are particularly proud of, and that's including a $7+ million recruiting and retention bonus plan that we've talked about before. We've carried over the $1.7 million DNF school bonus plan. We've increased teacher supplements by $1.4 million this year, increased bus driver and dual role pay by approximately $2 million this year. We've been able to implement the final phase of our employee salary scales. And so, we dropped it from 54 down to 30 steps so that they have an annualized step increase now, very similar to how certified scales work. We were able to increase principal pay, put $350,000 additional towards that. We implemented the 4% average state pay increase that came from the General Assembly. We're allotted one-time funds from the state that is approximately $300,000 for additional school supplies. So that was a welcome surprise. That was within the state budget. We've also allocated within this budget $2.5 million to help with the outdoor facility access plan that Mr. Brooks Moore has mentioned and discussed with the board previously. And we also have additional school resource officers. So quite a bit within 1 year of the budget cycle. So a lot of positives there, and largely thanks to the county commissioners fully funding us for this year. Some of the challenges that we have, of course, is that we are going to increase our charter school payments. We're currently trending to spend an additional $1.4 million, which takes it up to about $8.6 million of county funds that will be redistributed back to the 45 charter schools that we're paying for currently. We had a $763,000 increase in our property and liability insurance, hence why we are currently doing an RFP for those services, which will come to the board later this school year. We have, of course, inflation costs are still hitting us. We lag a little bit behind the federal, when you see like the federal inflation data, we implement a whole lot of contracts with school districts, and so those contracts were set pre-inflation. So now, as they're coming up and being renewed, we're seeing a lot of those inflation amounts kick in. So we're a bit of a lagging variable there. And of course, we're going to have, as we've talked about before, we're going to have a fairly significant state funding reversion, and that's just because DPI, we've talked about it before, that they've overestimated our enrollment this year. Of course, those kids ended up at charter schools, and so for the most part, and so you're going to see what I'm estimating to be somewhere around a $7.8 million reversion of state funds this year. That's within the current budget.
Just a quick question, Mr. Brett, and I believe Dr. Pierce was on this email as well. Brian Jones said that we increased 352 students from month 1 to month 2, but we don't get those funds, do we?
Yes, so that'll be part of the best one of two, and this is the last year that the state is implementing this process for funding. Starting next year, we will go into funding in arrears, and so that 36.8 or whatever it was for our month 2.
36,882.
That is likely to be our funding amount for next year, and so there's positives and negatives to that. The positive is we kind of know what we're walking into for next year. The negative is it doesn't account for our growth in enrollment. So
that was my question. That will not offset your reversion, is that right?
Right, so we won't have a reversion going forward. Yeah, so this will be the last year of that.
But I'm saying that 7.8 you got to pay out.
Correct.
That won't help that this year, right?
No, unfortunately, no. But the good thing is, we've known about this coming even back in the spring, and we just never allotted those funds or never banked on having those funds to begin with. So it's not, as long as it stays right around the expected reversion amount, we're no better, no worse.
I believe you saw that number and told me we're not going to be there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they estimated us at 38.2, I think it was. And we knew right from the get-go that wasn't going to happen. But we knew that, that was probably a realistic number, well, it definitely was a realistic number when you combine our enrollment with a charter school enrollment, because we're at 3,993 charter school students as of last week, I think it was.
Knowing that charter enrollment is growing, why does that number, that 38, whatever it was, why would they put a number out there like that?
I think, I don't really know. We've talked to DPI before.
You have a theory.
I have a theory, yeah, but I probably shouldn't say my theory, but publicly. But they just, I don't think they fully, I don't think by they, I mean DPI, I don't think they are able to really distinguish or know how many students are going to end up at charter schools. So like I think they front load it to us, and then they claw it back and then give it to the charter schools after the fact. I don't know that to be certain, but that's my theory of how they do that. Now, of course, that changes next year because from what I understand, it's going to be the month 2 enrollment, which for us, the later the month that they benchmark for our enrollment, the better our funding will be, because our enrollment grows every single month during the year. So
during the month 2, do they take away anybody that leaves, or do you just keep the new enrollees?
No, it's a ebb and flow. So it's a coming and going.
Month 2, okay.
Yes. And so, yeah, I was happy to see that they're doing away with the best one of two and go to month 2. I'd love to see month 3 or 4, but most school districts would prefer a month 2 because most school districts are not, in our situation, they are declining in enrollment, whereas we are net gaining.
Do you, it's not a fair question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you remember how much we grew last year from month 1 to the end of the year?
It was, I want to say, close to 1,000 students.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a huge growth, and I gained, what did we gain? A couple of hundred kids back from charter schools. I want to say one charter school alone, we brought back 140 students, I think it was, and so that's part of that. That's one reason why I like the later months of the year for that benchmark.
That's amazing that we grew 1,000 students over the school year.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see how we grow next year with most of our charter schools now at capacity. So unless they're building a new one or more get approved, it'll be interesting to see how much growth we see in the future. So next year might even, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. There is a process next year for our, where we get the funding in arrears. We can apply for addition, if our enrollment grows, we can apply for new funds from the state. So it just reverses the process. So rather than giving and then taking away, they give and then we can ask for more. So of course we have staffing shortages and uncertain vacancy savings, which I'll come back to you in January to give you a mid-year update on how all these things are coming together. And of course, as you see tonight, we have a ESSER fiscal cliff coming. I think almost all of our contracts that we've had, save 1 or 2 that we've had before you tonight, has all been ESSER funded. And so, as you know, what happens with these things when that funding goes away and we don't have funds to replace it. So a scary number that I'm going to hit you with at first, but I'm going to put your mind at ease, hopefully, by the time I finish this slide, is to start off the year, we are budgeting $22 million of fund balance. We have $25 million based on the financial statements that we had last month, but that is based on full employment. That's if we've filled every single position in the entire school district. So no vacancies. So even in a normal year, so if we were to have a normal level of vacancies, I will always give you a budget that's going to budget fund balance, even if though we're not planning to spend fund balance, or at least not to the extent of that amount. And so the reason why we do that, there's a couple of ways you can budget. But if you budgeted planning for your vacancy savings and then you missed it and then you didn't have enough fund balance to cover it, then you're in trouble. You've wrote checks that can't be cashed. And so you can fill in the blanks on some of those on that analogy. But yeah, that's problematic. And so we don't want to do that. And so some of the ways around that is to just go ahead and budget for having 100% enrollment, even though, or 100% staffing, even though we know we're not going to have that amount of employment. So in a normal year, we might budget 103% of staffing. So we might say, like in a normal year, we might have, at any given point in time, we might have 3% of our staff vacant. Right now, somewhere around 7%. So even though we've got a large amount of vacancies, we talk about, 300 plus vacancies, we've got 4,500 or so full and part-time employees. So it's all relative, to the size. So that's one reason why we're budgeting so much funds, even though I know we're not going to spend it. But I always like to present you, this is the scenario that we would have if we filled every position there. So we're likely to spend about $12 million this year. And of course, I always like to put my disclaimer in there that it is highly variable because there's a lot of stuff that's in there that we can't control. I also like to look at it is what if we removed those one-time expenses? So our bonuses that are out there and the $2.5 million for the ADA project, et cetera. What if we remove that and look at it from the lens of a normal year? So if we had a normal year with full employment, we would spend somewhere around $9 million. And so what is our vacancy savings probably going to be this year? Probably around $9 million. So that's why I'm kind of breaking it down and say, yes, we're budgeting $22 million, but it's not a doomsday scenario. We can break even next year, even with our current funding. It's just it's going to look a lot different next year whenever we come to you with the budget, because this will take us down to about 13 or so million, give or take, for at the end of this year, which is where kind of the floor of where I would love to leave us going into a post ESSER environment. So looking at the actual budget resolution itself, that's what this page looks like. And those at home, if you want to follow along, it's in the assembly attachments and is public facing. So you can download all these as well. This first slide is the actual budget resolution. I'm not a big fan of the way the state has us to present the budget resolution because I don't feel that it is very detailed. And so, because it gives you things like instructional programs. Well, that kind of explains what it is, but like, what are support programs? What are community services? What are non-program charges? I could stand up here and say, well, community services is largely school nutrition, but also some before and after school care. And then non-program charges on the local side, that's almost entirely our charter school payments. But a way that I prefer to show the budget is a little bit more detailed version, and it's in the same way that it's actually allocated to us from the state. So the state allocates it in the program format, but yet the law says I need to present it to the board in a program function level, or at the level that you see here. I feel like this way shows a lot more detail and a lot more information, like what do we have for our classroom teacher allotment? What do we have for central administration allotment, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is how the funds actually come to us from the state. You see a lot of negative numbers in there. Those are not any concern because we don't have a full budget yet from the state. So we've got our initial budget, but there's still several things that are left to be, the blanks need to be filled in. So we'll continue to get allotments that'll turn those red numbers to black. And this is our local budget comparison. So the next page in your handout. And that is a detailed local budget that compares what our 2023 budget was, what our 2023 expenses were, what the balance was, or how much did we not spend versus what was budgeted. And of course, that is the trickle-down effect for vacancy savings and departments not fully spending their allotments. And then looking at the 2024 budget, the difference between the two, and then if you look to the right, what are some of the major factors that led to those increases or decreases in the budget in there. And so, of course, you can kind of go down the list and see where some of the big ticket items are. For the retention bonus, the supplements, the increased insurance, et cetera. So the new program that we have is in the construction budget. That's local. So these are small projects that aren't necessarily capital. This would be new rails and new sidewalk entrance to a facility. This is part of that ADA access that Brooks brought to you a couple months ago, I think it was. So again, $110 million budgeted. Probably will end up with a balance around $9 million or so again this year once we're done. But of course, that's going to change as we go on through the year. This is the bond-funded project list. I do not budget all of the bonds right up front. I usually just because it gets kind of convoluted when you get everything out there all at once. So I just put it as they start, or as Mr. Moore begins the process of finding the builders and et cetera that he's got for the bond projects, and then we'll go ahead and budget at that time. So these are projects that have begun or about to begin.
Mr. Britt.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, I had a couple questions, and I'm trying to understand. Right, you were in the right spot.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So if you see like the current budget expenditure, this $315,799.92, labeled contingency in the description. I'm assuming that contingency for a specific endeavor or a specific item, because if you scroll down, there's another contingency for emergencies, $500. So, I mean, would it just be for different projects, different items?
Yes, that one where I've got it's kind of really hard to see on your screen now, but that one that says contingency and it's got the 300 and something thousand there, that is not assigned to any project or any school. That's if that will help cover us if at Benson Elementary a chiller goes down. And the facilities team has got to react quickly and get that in place. It's not budgeted, We don't have that in place anywhere, and so that's where that pot of money will come from.
Okay, so if that money wasn't there, it would be in fund balance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it accounted for in the fund balance, or is it accounted for just in this line item?
Just in that, well, it's in both. So if you look, it's really hard to see on the screen, but if you look down at where it says at the bottom of the current budget, right here, where it's $11.3 million for our total budget. So we were allotted $6 million this year of new capital money, and we had a fund balance left over of $5.3 million approximately. That's on our financial statements from this past month or past year. And so this budgets both all of our fund balance and all of the new money. So that's where we come up with the $11.3 million. So that's all chips in. This is everything we got is on the table.
Everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
It's the last 2 years combined, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, the leftover, so what wasn't spent last year, so those projects were encumbered, and then they were carried over to this year. So they were, all of that $5.3 million fund balance that we had was projects that were committed last year.
And just help me with this one. So reserve for 2018 bond overage.
Yes.
Can you go through that and explain that, please, to me?
Absolutely. So that's $1.75 million that's reserved for the cost overruns for the 2018 bond. So I think that was the last kind of a conservative or safe estimate that we were expecting from to close out the 2018 bond projects.
Okay, and because, year-to-date transactions 0, POs outstanding 0, is it like we're going to be able to retain that?
No, that's going to be my last resort. Once the county tells me I've burned up all of the 2018 bond money and they can't give me any more, then I start coding stuff there. And that's a really good point, because you're actually going to see a negative here on this bond project list. You'll see, just like up at the very top, and you'll see me put a note on there that says move to PRC 077. So that means I'm going to go and take that and drop it in that other PRC. So yes, and that's where those bond overages will trickle down to.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And that's a great segue into our locally funded projects. This is where we just were talking earlier, Ms. Anton, about having the $600,000 reserved for the facility here. And so that's, of course, this is all chips in. There's nothing left on the table. So to be able to do a larger building and more comprehensive, we would just need to go back to the county commissioners. It could be next, budget cycle, or whenever, whatever is the pleasure of the board. So,
There's no, assuming everything went perfectly wonderful with no overages, you do have what was that contingency number? 1.75 million carried over for the 2018 bond, but can you use that money?
Yes, you can use it if it ends up being that we don't really need that estimated amount for the bond. I think it's fairly certain at this point that we are going to need the majority of it, but we might only use 1.5 million. I'm not sure. No, Brooks is back there shaking his head. So I think he's going to use it. So. Okay. Yeah. So yes. So I think go ahead.
That was an actual number from our current contract with what remains in the 18 bonds. So
Right.
that is the void.
Okay.
So it's under contract.
It's gone, it'll be gone. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes. So your
So really, if it's under contract, we don't have an overage. Is that right?
It's under contract including that number.
Yes.
The 1.75 number. So we really don't have.
1.75 million, I think is included in the contract. Okay, that's what we were thinking. Okay.
Yeah, so really the only leftover that you have is that $315,799.
Why did you code the $500 different from that $315,000? Is there a purpose for that?
It's probably just just something that hit probably something got coded wrong or just got hit in the, when somebody keyed a requisition, it probably just hit that line. So yeah. Yep. So yes, not a whole lot of room for contingencies there. I usually like to keep about $1 million in that line item because even just a roof would wipe that out in no time. So looking at our one-time school-based projects, so this is in Fund 8. I call this a one-time project because this is using revenues that we will likely not see again after this year. So this is utilizing indirect cost and sales tax refunds. So indirect cost that comes from primarily ESSER funds or ESSER projects. So these are not directly funded by ESSER, but ESSER, the federal government allows us to charge overhead cost back to our federal programs, ranging from school nutrition to Title I to ESSER. You know, they allow us to apply a part of our overhead cost to those programs, and that generates revenue that comes back into the district. And so it doesn't directly fund these projects, but what it does is that frees up other money that we can then put into these projects. So you see 300 and something thousand for furniture. We've got a good amount of money there for playgrounds upgrades, the Schrack pool repairs, some communication equipment at schools, the facilities assessment that you're about to see shortly, and a lift to be able to do indoor repairs at schools.
Stephen, I got a quick question. I was up toward the top, the first page. I just happened to see it while I was just kind of scrolling. The Smithfield Mental Canopy, the front entrance, right?
I am looking for that project now. Is it on this page?
Very first page. It's on the first page.
It's on the first page, about 8 down.
I saw the project was done.
Let's see if I can move. Oh, is that bond fund? Yes.
Right,
Move to that
it's
page.
completed, correct?
I was just trying to figure out why there was still a remaining balance.
Was that funds left over? Did we not use all the contingency? Brooks, do you remember? Yeah. So probably some contingency funds left over, which might help us on that 1.75 million.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, a lot of these projects have a contingency line built into the contracts themselves. So if we do end up not using that, it'll show up here, and then the board has the ability to then consolidate all that and apply it towards the overages from the other projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Great question. Looking ahead, so again, this is not a doomsday scenario as we prepare for the fiscal cliff. So I want to be clear that there's no layoffs in permanent positions that's needed. There's no risk of supplemental pay decreases. Classroom supplies will be unaffected, but there's still going to be a painful process coming, and we just need to kind of tackle this head on, because there's a lot of programs and processes that we have that are currently funded that we don't have currently a way to sustain in the future. And so, while we're fortunate to not have permanent positions funded with ESSER, we do have summer learning programs, tutoring, student and staff devices, which is a huge expenditure currently. We've been funding almost all of our student textbook and curriculum programs through this, as you've seen tonight. Our contract nurses, learning facilitators, bonuses, and a whole lot of construction, about $30 million worth of construction and HVAC has been running through ESSER. And so all of that goes away come September 30th of next year. So we've got, 10 months or so left on that. And it's fully, at this point, ESSER is fully planned out. And so we're working with DPI to update our budgets, and then next month we'll come and bring you a detailed list of everything. But of course you see the major players there of what our ESSER budget is being used for at this time. So again, tough conversations. We will need to prioritize list, or prioritize our needs. Basically we're going to have $20 million worth of needs that we're going to have to look at, and we might only have $6 million worth of funds, to do it with. And so we're going to have to look under every rock and at every resource that we can, and also try to maximize funds, and then cover as much as we possibly can. There will be things, that we just can't do that are going to be considered needs. That's just, but we're in the same boat as every other school district in not only the state of North Carolina, but in the nation. We've gotten accustomed to these funds. but we're going to go back to the pre-pandemic days of basically relying on state and local funds.
I don't know that it's necessarily fair to say we're going to pre-pandemic, because pre-pandemic, I think these schools with about the same or similar enrollments were funded at locally like $62 million.
That's a good point.
And they have funded us $100 million plus some capital expenses. So the commissioners have stepped up in terms of funding these schools to make the job of making those decisions much, much easier for this board.
That's right. That's right. And that's all I have.
Do you want us to vote on the budget resolution?
Yes, ma'am. This
Okay,
is,
yeah, that's the only action item that I see. I didn't have it, on my computer, it's not showing up, so I just wanted to make sure. So the budget resolution that he covered is an action item. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Donovan, second by Mr. Wooten. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the budget resolution that has been presented to us, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Britt.
Thank you.
Mr. Pierce.
Good afternoon, board members. Thank you for all that you're doing for us this afternoon. I want to start out by something that's exciting for me, but for some of us, we're all wondering what the results may be of this as well. But what I'm bringing to you all tonight is a facilities conditional assessment. We did an RFQ out asking for qualifications for a comprehensive facility conditional assessment for 44 schools and 6 additional facilities, and that is all of our other county office buildings and what have you. So it's every facility that we own. We asked for a deferred maintenance plan, and we also asked for a tagging and identifying of all assets of $500 or more into an asset tagging, so that can help us moving forward with when we work on things and life cycles of devices. So based on the proposals provided, we recommend that we select Bureau Veritas in the amount of $538,199.38, pending our legal counsel's approval of the terms and conditions of the contract, and this will be funded by indirect cost revenue from federal programs, primarily ESSER.
That was put out for bid, obviously.
Yes.
And if I'm going back to Stephen Britt's presentation, what was budgeted for that assessment? That was budgeted after we got the RFQ, or was that budgeted before?
I put it in just as soon as I learned the dollar amount. Yeah, yes, sir.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Donovan, second by Mr. Carroll. Now, discussion. Okay.
No, I just appreciate the due diligence because this is deeply needed, and items over $500, I mean, that's a lot.
They will come back with when you get the results, would the results come back with, like, this is what you need to
It'll be prioritized.
prioritize, okay, and then
It'll
come
give
up
you
with a
the-
plan?
It'll give you a yearly deferred maintenance plan that we can share with our county commissioners on what it costs each year for what we have. It'll be totally laid out by priority, and ranked as well.
You have an anticipated completion date of this assessment? I'm sorry.
So we've asked for it to be done by April in the spring, and so they feel like they can meet that deadline.
And this will be a document that I reckon we could call it a living document. It's going to be updated and continually
Yes.
moved along, so we'll know what we have, where we have it as we add on.
Correct.
And what's taken out.
Correct.
And I'm obviously hopeful, I know you're presenting, but Brooks Moore should be heavily involved in this, correct?
So he will definitely be heavily involved in the mindset of the assets we have, life cycle of things that need to be replaced, things of that sort, yes. But the company itself's doing all the work. I don't know if that's the question you're asking, but it's an outside party doing the actual work.
I mean, you're a tremendous asset, but his area of expertise is
Right.
this very thing. I mean, this is what he deals with, and I think, I mean, is he gonna be a big part of their point of contact, or is it gonna be you and you only you, or how's that gonna work?
This company will come in and meet with our schools, meet with our custodians, meet with our facility service team. Mr. Moore definitely would be a part of those meetings as well.
Now, how does this affect, once they hand over this information, how does this affect Wilson Mills once it gets built on and we need to tag those assets and add that? Are we gonna know how to do that? Do we have to bring them back in?
So we can, once this is done, we will be able to maintain moving forward with new assets.
Any other discussion?
Oh, I don't know anything about this company. I've never heard of this company. Can you tell us a little bit about them and what made them the chosen or preferred vendor?
I would say multiple things. One, they recently did Wake County. They're doing the entire state of Maryland's public schools. We reached out and did their actual references were absolutely phenomenal from the groups we did. But the biggest thing I would say is, one, they've got prior knowledge. Their team has a lot of experience, 20-plus years of experience doing this. And furthermore, they partnered with a company called FMX for our asset tagging, is a company that we already use as a school district.
Do you know where they're based out of?
Looks like it says, looks like their home, I don't know if this is their home base, but the address on this is Maryland.
Any other discussion? We appreciate much you doing this, because there's no question that we need this. Now, these people will be able, I mean, obviously, they bring in people who are experts on this equipment as well. Is that correct?
Years and all, yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of the facilities conditional assessment being done at this cost, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you so much. With no other business before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Donovan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wooten. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank y'all so much. We're adjourned.